Chapter 3029. Muyin placed her hands lightly on the strings, her fingertips plucking. Don't kill me. Wang He was scared out of his wits. He hugged his head and cried out. However, he soon realized that Jun Muyin was not attacking him at all. The silver energy flowing out of the Tian Mo Qin completely flows into Zheng Little Fatty's body. Wang He heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Then he could not help but laugh. He had used this medicine mixed with the mercury flower countless times on countless high-ranked spirit beasts. Which one of them didn't have their entire skin peeled off and die in the end? Those high-level spirit beasts were all comparable to nascent soul or even astral projection cultivators. Even these spirit beasts did not survive. A kid in the fasting stage wanting to survive the torture of being skinned alive was simply a fool's dream. On the other hand, Jun Muyin, in order to save this kid, she had to focus on playing the Guqin and could not be distracted. If he could approach her silently and take her life, it would be a great achievement. Thinking of this, the fear in Wang He's heart was replaced by greed. He looked down at Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi. Seeing that both of them were looking at him, he could not help but feel excited. He held his breath and slowly crawled towards Jun Muyin, who was playing the Guqin. His skin and flesh were torn apart alive. Every inch of his flesh felt as if it was being roasted on fire, as it was torn apart inch by inch. Zheng Xiaoping did not know how long he had been suffering in this pain. Then, he vaguely heard the familiar sound of the Guqin. The sound of the zither was like the celestial music from heaven, saving him from endless torment. Zheng Xiaoping slowly opened his eyes. Seeing the person playing the Guqin so close to him, his lips curled into a faint smile. Great God, Jun, am I dreaming? Or could it be that I have to go and meet Xinu? If that's the case, that's great. That's great. Xinu, you don't know how lonely I was staying in the Starry School alone. I really miss you, Jiang Xinyu and Zheng Xiaoping. They were both students of Starry School and Yi Liangqin's most loyal supporters. The two of them fought side by side, laughing and cursing angrily. They fought for their idols and organized the Starry School's Good Day Army. After spending so much time together, Zheng Little Fatty, who bullied Jiang Xinyu in the beginning, started to have a good impression of her. However, Jiang Xinyu died tragically at Lu Ruoxiang's hands. In his hand, from then on, Zheng Little Fatty's entire temperament changed. He no longer made a fuss, no longer ate and drank, and no longer had a silly smile on his face all day long. His originally fat body became thinner at a speed visible to the naked eye, revealing his clear and handsome facial features. In the past, Jiang Xinyu had always despised Zheng Xiaoping for looking like a fat pig and not at all handsome. Now, Zheng Little Fatty had finally become the person that Jiang Xinyu liked. However, he could no longer see the girl he had changed for. Hearing Fatty Zheng's hazy ravings, the rims of Mayan's eyes become hot, and her heart feels unbearably sour. It was her carelessness that caused Jiang Xinyu to die at Lu Ruoqin's hands. In his hand, this time, it would never happen again. No matter what, she would ensure that Zheng Little Fatty would live a safe and healthy life. The movement of her fingers on the Guqin suddenly sped up, and the sound of the Guqin pounded on everyone's ears like rain. Strands of silver light flowed from Mayan's fingertips, entering Zheng Xiaoping's body, but did not stop. Chapter 3030. For a moment, looking from afar, Mayan's slender jade-like fingertips seemed to be twirling 1,000 translucent threads, manipulating the unconscious Zheng Xiaoping. With the gentle twirling of her fingers, those threads that have drilled into Zheng Xiaoping's body begin to throb. Some are straightening out the dislocated flesh and bones. Some are stitching up the broken meridians and blood vessels. Some are pulling back the students that have squeezed out of his head a little. Among these countless energy threads, only one is different from the others that are being mended. It wanders through every inch of Zheng Xiaoping's skin. Bit by bit, it draws out the venom that has seeped into his flesh and blood and drips it from Mayan's fingertips into a small porcelain bottle. Zheng Xiaoping's distorted body begins to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. The originally greenish-gray surface of his skin returns to a healthy skin color. His nearly severed vitality is returning to his body bit by bit. This was truly a person who was on the brink of death being pulled back from the gates of hell. Whether it's Wang He, who is preparing to assassinate him, or the clan head, who is yet to react to the development of the situation. Looking at the scene in front of him, he simply can't believe his eyes. God! God! An old man sitting next to Lan Etienne suddenly slaps the table and stands up. He's so excited that he's dancing like a child. I knew that this girl is a genius in medicine. Now it seems that this old man's vision is really too good. Huh? What alchemist? What assistant zither master? What talisman? Teacher, how can it be compared to this girl's talent as a doctor? Your Majesty, do you see this? This is godly, truly godly medical skills. Using divine sense to manipulate spiritual power threads to mend a patient's internal injuries. Hundreds of threads are being manipulated at the same time, and the blood vessels and meridians are still intact. Ow, ow, ow. This requires a powerful divine sense, a tenacious mind to be able to do it. Your Majesty, do you see this? Lan Etienne coughs lightly, motioning for him to calm down. Dr. Liang, calm down. We have eyes, we can see it. This noisy old man looks like an old urchin, but in fact, he is one of the best doctors in the Lan royal family. In the second round of the great elixir competition, doctors diagnose the patient's condition, and then alchemists refine elixirs to treat the patient. Finally, the patients were graded according to their recovery rate. And the doctor that Mu Yin had drawn at that time just happened to be this national expert, Dr. Liang. Because of Lung Qingwan's interference in the audition, Dr. Liang's diagnosis was wrong. In the end, it was Mayan herself who discovered the clues and saved the patient who was poisoned by the goo. At that time, Dr. Liang admired the medical skills of this young girl, named Yi Liangshan, very much. From then on, whenever he bumped into Yi Liangshan in Tingguang ruins, he would chase after her and ask her to give up on concocting pills and drawing talismans to study medicine instead. Mayan simply doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. In the end, he could only ask little Tian to help him monitor the time difference. He only dared to go up when Dr. Liang wasn't in Tingguang ruins. This time, the news that Yi Liangshan was Jun Mayan was completely exposed in Divine Elephant City. Dr. Liang's first reaction was to beat his chest and stamp his feet in grief. Short-sighted, short-sighted. You obviously have such a great talent in medicine. How can you waste your time on those useless things? No, Your Majesty, I must scold her to wake her up. Chapter 30-31. I'm sure you'll see Mayan in this devil-slaying assembly, right? Take this old man with you. Don't worry, this old man will definitely make her mend her ways. What devil cultivator? What zither master refining pills? It was nowhere near as bright as studying medicine. That's what it means to be immortalized for generations to come and benefit the people. Lan Etienne and Lan Feng could not help but twitch their mouths. The only Lord of 6 stars in the world, the disciple of the sacred ancestor medicine king, the master of the chaotic tower, the #1 supporting zither player, and so on and so forth. They were all beaten up by Dr. Liang to the point that they were useless playthings. But in any case, Dr. Liang still followed them. And at this very moment, when he saw the miraculous healing method of the chaotic tower, he felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Liang almost burst into tears. He felt that his persistence and determination were indeed correct. Jun Mayan was born to be a doctor. Her medical skills were like a demonic charm, like the hands of God, like the grass of resurrection at the bridge of helplessness, able to pull back a person who had already taken a step into the king of hell. Lan Huahong clenched his fists as a smile blossomed on his taut face. Boss's mother was amazing, invincible. Dr. Liang was not the only one who was shocked. The people of the sects and aristocratic families present, no matter how much they loathed and hated Jun Mayan and the unfettered 7 devils before, at this moment, they were all intoxicated by the miraculous medical skills, unable to extricate themselves. Moreover, many people had a trace of ambition and uncertainty in their hearts. Jun Mayan has this kind of supernatural medical skills. Do they really have to kill her like this? Isn't that too much of a pity? Wouldn't it be great if he could cripple her cultivation and leave only her miraculous medical skills for him to use? This thought flashed through everyone's mind. This caused them to unconsciously turn their gazes towards the people of Cleansing Joy Pavilion. Just now, Jing Tianyi had threatened Lan Yitian and Su Mingyue to join the Demon Extermination Alliance by making sure that all the high-ranked doctors in the world would no longer treat the Lan family empire and the Su family. But at this very moment, Jun Mayan is displaying her medical skills. This made Jing Tianyi's threat a complete joke. Was Mu Leg's medical skill amazing? Naturally, it was powerful. However, many people from the great families and sects of the Purple Cloud realm had seen it before. Even if it was the Saintess of Cleansing Le Pavilion, as long as he paid the right price, he could get her to treat him. But did the Saintess of Mu Le Pavilion have such miraculous medical skills? Absolutely not. Since he wasn't a top-notch expert, what qualifications did he have to be used as a bargaining chip to threaten others? If they can't find Mu Le Pavilion's people to treat them, can't they just look for mine? The effect of the treatment might even be far better than that of your Cleansing Le Pavilion. Therefore, such a threat was nothing but a joke. Eslan stared blankly at the young girl standing atop the chaotic tower, as if she were possessed. It wasn't that she didn't hear the whispers of the people around her and the probing gazes that were directed at her. She also wanted to maintain her poise, to maintain the aloof and proud image of the Mu Lu Pavilion Saintess, who stood aloof from worldly affairs. However, the shock and unwillingness in her heart surged up like raging waves, causing her to be unable to maintain her cold and arrogant expression. How is this possible? How could she be a music doctor to such an extent? How can there be a doctor in this world who can do this? Eslan was also a near-omnipotent musician. When she was very young, she could play the Cry of the Nine Heavens Crane. Later on, she mastered the Solitary Solitude of Snow and Snow, which no one could play for 1,000 years. Chapter 30-32. Honglan was not very old, only in her 30s. She was already a tribulation cultivator in the prime of her youth. As a musician, she was not like others who could only assist in battle. She could resist the powerful attacks of 3 to 5 sword cultivators, and could assist hundreds or even thousands of iron armor guards in battle. Her medical skills were among the best in the entire Mu Lu Pavilion, even if she did not specialize in this field. Before she met Jun Mayan, Honglan was sincerely proud of her own talent. However, after meeting Jun Mayan, her pride was shattered little by little. Until today, there was not even a speck of it left. Honglan clearly realized, as long as Jun Mayan existed in this world, she, Honglan, would never have a name. No wonder young Master Yuan Shao only had this girl in his eyes and was never willing to look at her. No wonder, from beginning to end, none of the unfettered 7 demons regarded her as a real opponent. What Saintess of Mu Le Pavilion? The strongest musician in the northern continent? In their eyes, it was just a joke, an ant shrouded in the shadow of fatally beautiful killing god Jun Mayan. Saintess, you should know now, right? Ye Yun whispered in her ear with ridicule and bewitchment. Only by getting rid of Jun Mayan can you maintain your position as the one and only Saintess and obtain everything. Otherwise, you will fall from the altar and no one will ever look at you again. Hong Lan's pupils suddenly shrank and her hands clenched tightly. Wang He, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and do it. Chu Xinyan's stern shout woke Wang He from his stupor. He was so shocked that his hands and feet were trembling, and he scrambled towards Mayan. Chu Xinyan also glanced to the side. Shui Zhaoguang immediately understood, and his whole body soared into the air. A long blade appeared in his hand, and he fiercely slashed at the top of the chaotic tower. Little sister, be careful. Great God Jun, quickly dodge. Ayaya, you bunch of idiots. How can you interrupt the treatment? Quickly stop. Panicked and anxious shouts came from below. However, it was all too late. Shui Zhaoguang's blade already carried the pressure of Mount Tai and fiercely slashed at the top of the chaotic tower. The top of the pagoda emitted a faint light and bounced him away. However, the entire tower shook violently. Mu Yin, who was originally treating Zheng Xiaoping, also pales, as if she has suffered a violent attack. Clearly, there was indeed a protective barrier around the chaotic tower. However, this barrier was definitely not as indestructible as it was in Divine Elephant City. Shuai and Wang He were overjoyed to see this. Wang He used his hands and feet to crawl even faster. Soon, the dagger in his hand was pressed against Jun Mayan's neck. And because Jun Mayan's hands are twisting the energy threads, she simply can't free herself to save herself. Shui Xiaoguang's second slash arrived. Boom! There was a loud noise. The hearts of everyone in the Demon Massacre Plaza rose to their throats. Sun Yuanjiao and the others had already rushed out of the pagoda. They wanted to go up and rescue him, but they could not make it in time. The light stopped flashing, and the dust settled. Shui Xiaoguang, who was hovering in the air, revealed a ferocious smile. However, the next moment his smile froze on his face. This was because on the chaotic tower, the white-robed girl was completely unharmed. Little fatty Zheng, who should have been on the verge of death, stood up unsteadily. Chapter 30-33. Aside from the slight pain from the stitches, he was no different from a normal person. Everyone's mind was still filled with the terrifying image of the bloody ball on his head. Now that they saw the unscathed youth, the shock in their hearts couldn't be described with words. And the jade fingers that had just healed Zheng Little Fatty with her miraculous medical skills were currently grasping Wang He's neck. Her bright red lips slightly curled up, revealing a shallow and languid smile. Little Fatty Zheng, how did he treat you just now? Do you want to do the same to him now? Zheng Little Fatty was startled at first. Then he heard the clear and resolute voice of a girl on the verge of death. Only by living can one see new hope and happiness. Even if you and Xin you are already in two different worlds, I would never want you to give up on yourself, to end your life without putting in any effort, without experiencing a complete life. If you die in such a cowardly manner, even if you reach the other end of the bridge of helplessness, would you still have the face to see her? Zheng Little Fatty felt his eyes become wet and hot, something quickly flowing down. He hurriedly wiped it away. God Jun was right. How could he give up on himself? He still had to worry about his father and brother. There was also a large group of like-minded brothers who grew up together, worked hard together, indulging in lost emotions, letting himself sink into depravity. Was that what Xin you wanted to see? No. He still had many dreams that had yet to be realized, especially one, which was the dream that he and Xin you shared. They had once said that they would push their great god Yi to the top of the cultivation world. He wanted her to become the true supreme ruler. But now, their idol, the god they supported, was being attacked and framed by others. At this time, what should he really do? Zheng Little Fatty's face suddenly bloomed with the same wretched smile as before. He ran over, picked up the dagger that Wang He dropped, and said with a smile, God Jun, let me do it. Let me do it. How could I let you do this kind of rough work? He raised the dagger and made a cut on Wang He's head. Then he picked up the porcelain bottle on the ground. The poison that Mu Yin had just extracted from his body was gathered in this porcelain bottle. Wang He felt the pain on his scalp and screamed in fear. No, 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 don't. Don't kill me. Marquis, save me, Alliance Leader Jing. Save me, save me. Zheng Xiaoping looked at the wailing Wang He with a sinister expression. What was the name of this potion that can peel off a person's skin? Oh, by the way, you haven't taken it yet. Why don't I pick one for you now? How about skin peeler? Don't you like skinning people? Now, have a taste of the feeling of having your skin and flesh peeled off while you're still alive. With that said, Zheng Xiaoping lifted the porcelain bottle in his hand and poured the poison into Wang He's brain. Ah! Shrill screams resounded throughout the entire Phoenix Sky mountain range, causing most of the cultivators on the Demon Massacre Square to have a fearful and solemn expression. His methods are too cruel. He actually used such a cruel method to torture a doctor. An evil demon is an evil demon. As expected, they are cruel by nature. If we don't kill this demoness today, I'm afraid the entire cultivation world will never have a day of peace. Chapter 30-34. Suzy felt nauseous as he listened to the discussions of the people around him. When Wang He had wanted to skin Zheng Xiaoping earlier, no one had objected. But now, little Missy was merely giving him a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye, but this group of people acted as if their tails had been stepped on. They kept accusing little Missy of being a demon. Didn't these people know that their faces were 100 times more disgusting and ugly than the demons in their mouths? Jing Tianyi was enjoying the sight of Wang He's tragic state with great interest. Only when Wang He breathed his last in agony did Jing Tianyi speak nonchalantly. Miss June, do you know that your actions just now have been recorded by someone using a mirage stone and transmitted to every main city of the cultivation continent through Tingguang ruins? Your cruel, vicious, and vengeful nature has been completely exposed in front of everyone. From now on, there will be no place for you, the unfettered 7 demons, in the entire cultivation continent. At this point, Miss June still intends to struggle on her deathbed? Jing Tianyi's words alarmed Suzy, Kong Yuanjiu, and the others. They instantly understood Jing Tianyi's sinister intentions. Kong Yuanjiu angrily drew his long sword and was about to attack Jing Tianyi. However, before the long sword could be unsheathed, someone pressed down on its scabbard. The girl's clear and indifferent voice resounded in his ears. Elder Kong, don't be impatient. Only then did Kong Yuanjiu realize that Mu Yin had come down from the chaotic tower at some point. That slender, jade-like hand that had just saved a life was currently pressed down on the hilt of his sword. Kong Yuanjiu was stunned, but he still couldn't suppress his anger. He gritted his teeth and said, Miss June, this group of bastards who invert black and white and call a deer a horse are really intolerable bullies. Jing Tianyi chuckled. Miss June is truly the leader of the demons. You're already at the end of the road, yet you're still so calm. Mu Yin turned her head and curled her lips into a smile. At the end of the road? With just you guys? Jing Tianyi, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Or are you thinking too highly of this group of motley crew? Jing Tianyi's expression immediately darkened. You're about to die, but you still dare to boast so shamelessly. June Mayan, do you know that everything that happens in the devil-slaying assembly will be shown to every corner of the Xiojin continent through the Mirage Stones? The more arrogant and ruthless you act now, the more you expose your true nature as an evil demon. Mu Yin clicks her tongue twice. I'm afraid that Union Master Jing's level of education is not very good. You have some misunderstanding of the word shameless boasting. A group of so-called transcending tribulation stage cultivators, the heads of clans and sects, were completely defeated by my 6 nascent soul martial brothers. They were utterly humiliated. With this kind of conduct, you still have the nerve to form the demon-slaying alliance? You still have the nerve to say that you will uphold justice in the world? Tis TSK, the world is supported by a group of idiots like you. I'm afraid everyone wants to cry. Jing Tianyi didn't expect that not only was June Mayan's innate talent astonishing, but she also had a sharp tongue. He could barely keep his composure. The other cultivators on the square were about to go mad with anger. Shameless maniac! Where did this silly little girl come from? She actually dares to be so presumptuous here. What kind of thing is the Xiao Yao sect? A few little bastards that crawled out from a corner of the blue cloud world. They're not even fit to carry our shoes, yet they still dare to step on our noses. Chapter 30-35. Did you see how Shiqing, the leader of the Xiaoyao sect, knelt before Master Ho like a dog and begged for his life? What good can a disciple taught by such trash be? As soon as the person who had insulted Shiqing finished, Mu Yin suddenly plucked the sky demon zither. Clang! The zither sounded hurriedly, and countless energy turned into sound blades, shooting towards the person. The person was also a peak out-of-body realm cultivator, but he couldn't even react before screaming. Blood spurted all over his body, and he fell to the ground. Mu Yin retracted her hand from the zither and said coldly, "Watch your mouth. If you dare to insult my master again, don't blame me for taking your dog life." The person who was hit by the sound blades didn't die, but the tendons in his limbs were instantly cut. He fell into a pool of blood and wailed in pain, unable to say a word. Everyone was shocked by Mu Yan's sudden outburst. But what scared them more was her strength. A peak out-of-body realm cultivator couldn't even block a random sound attack from her. This fatally beautiful killing god, this demoness, just how powerful was her current strength? Mu Yan, I didn't expect a demonic place like the Xiaoyao sect to be so united. Why don't you turn around and see who is in my hands? Mu Yan turned around. She saw Chu Xinyan holding Shiqing's neck and walking slowly to the evil punishing platform. Because of the chaotic tower, more than half of the evil punishing platform was destroyed. The Starry School people who had been controlled on the evil punishing platform were also rescued into the chaotic tower and could no longer be hostages. Only Shiqing, who had betrayed and begged for mercy. When the chaotic tower fell, he wasn't on the evil punishing platform, so he was still in Chu Xinyan's hands. Mu Yan's eyes turned cold. Let go of my master. Chu Xinyan smiled. You want me to let go of your master? Sure. Then throw down the zither in your hands, walk over, and surrender yourself. This marquee promises you that as long as you're obedient, this marquee will at least keep your life. After all, such an outstanding beauty, such superb medical skills. It would be such a pity if you died like this. Absolutely not. Junimo Xie, don't listen to him. Be it the Starry School teachers and students in the Chaotic Tower or Su Zi's group, all of them could not help but shout. Great God, Jun, your master, he's not a good person. Back on the execution of evil, he betrayed the carefree society. He even planned to sneak into the Chaotic Tower to poison you all. God, Jun, you can't sacrifice yourself for such a traitor. Hearing the discussions around him, Mu Yan couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. If the Starry School students and Su Zi's group were not saying these words, she would have given them a slap. But since everyone was saying the same thing, it was obvious that what they said was true. Mu Yan couldn't help but cast a doubtful look at Shiqing. Master is a traitor? How is this possible? In recent years, Shiqing's body had been ruined and he had been drinking all year round, so his figure had become much more stooped. At this time, Chu Xinyan lifted him up by the back of his collar. His feet couldn't touch the ground. He couldn't help but cry out in fright. Yin Yin, my good disciple, quickly save your master. Don't listen to these people's nonsense. I love the seven of you the most. How could I betray you? Don't forget, you were only able to enter the Carefree Society because I discovered you during the sect competition and saved your life. Chapter 30-36. You won't leave your master in the lurch, will you? Quick, put down the zither and come over. Your master really doesn't want to die. On my side, whether it's Longting, Xingchen, or Yuanwu village, they are all infuriated by Shiqing's shamelessness. Ba, don't dream. Great God Jun has already seen through your true colors and will never be fooled by you again. Shiqing, you are too shameless. As a master, you actually want to use your disciple's life to exchange for your own. The Xiaoyao Seven Sons are obviously such good people. How could they have such a shameless and selfish master? Chu Xinyan snorts coldly and suddenly raises his voice. The hand on Shiqing's neck suddenly tightens. Jun mine, have you thought it through? If you don't surrender now, your master will really lose his life. Mine slightly lowers her eyes and slowly steps forward. Everyone thinks that she is really going to abandon herself to save Shiqing, and they immediately become anxious. Kong Yuanjiu and the others even want to rush forward to stop her. However, at this moment, Mayan suddenly raises her hand and plucks the zither. Marquis, be careful. Miao Yu's cry of alarm makes Chu Xinyan's heart skip a beat, and he quickly steps back. With a swoosh, countless zither blades brush past his and Shiqing's bodies. A few of them cut Shiqing's clothes. There is even one that directly cut off Chu Xinyan's hair. Chu Xinyan has a lingering fear and inexplicable alarm. Of course, that sound blade attack just now could not really hurt him, but the sound blade is attached to the vigorous spiritual power and sharp sword intent, making Chu Xinyan unable to help but feel terrified. He calms his mind with great difficulty, but then he becomes angry out of shame. Good. Junmayan, it seems that you don't want your master's life anymore. Then this Marquis will help you. I don't. Marquis, spare me, spare me. Shurching immediately screams like a pig being slaughtered, his hands and feet fluttering in the air. Marquis, listen to me. This lowly one's life is still useful. Absolutely useful. Chu Xinyan coldly says, Useful? Useful, useful, absolutely useful. Shurching gritted his teeth and said with righteous indignation, Junmayan, that ingrate is ruthless, but that's because she only stayed in the Xiaoyao school for 1 or 2 years. But my other disciples are different. They were all raised by me, and they all treat me like their own father. They would never leave me in the lurch. Marquis, believe me. These words made Chu Xinyan hesitate for a moment. Jing Tianyi glanced at Shurching and suddenly asked Shui Zhaoguang, Where are the other 6 of the unfettered 7 devils? Shui Zhaoguang snorted coldly. Gritting his teeth, he said, Just now, I saw those 6 people meditating in the chaotic tower. They haven't come out yet. I'm afraid that they are in closed-door training to advance. Hearing this, everyone at the scene gasped in shock. What the fuck? Were these little devils even human? It wasn't enough for Junmayan to advance, and now the remaining 6 also want to advance? Junmayan alone was already so frightening. What if there were 6 more people? The unfettered 7 devils were already so frightening when they were still at the leaving body and nascent soul stages. What if they became crossing tribulation and leaving body stages? All the cultivators present shuddered in unison. At the same time that they felt fear in their hearts, a strong killing intent welled up. Such a frightening opponent, such a fire seed, they must cut the weeds and eliminate the roots before they completely matured. Jing Tianyi said in a low voice, Marquis, this Shurching might really be useful in a while. Let's leave him with his dog life for now. Chapter 30-37. Shurching nodded repeatedly. That's right. Keep this old man alive, it will definitely be useful. Chu Xinyan looked at this matter with disgust and disdain. In the end, he only tied the binding immortal rope around his body and threw him to the side. Jing Tianyi is already coldly looking at Junmayan. However, the words that came out of his mouth were clearly directed at everyone present. As the saying goes, a teacher for a day is a father for a lifetime. Even if Shurching is greedy for life and afraid of death, he still has the grace of raising and saving the unfettered 7 devils. Junmayan, this devil, can even abandon her own master's life. It's enough to see how ruthless and heartless these demons are. If they can be merciless to their own master today, it means that they won't kill the innocent in my purple cloud realm or the entire cultivation continent in the future. So, these evil spirits must be exterminated today. Just as the last word, Mei, was uttered, Jing Tianyi, Chu Xinyan, and Xiao Zun had already soared into the sky. They had caught the enemy off guard and launched a ferocious attack. The targets of their attacks were precisely the unfettered 6 sons who were in seclusion within the chaotic tower. For a moment, everyone in the square held their breath. These 3 people were all famous swordsmen on the blue sky ranking. Chu Xinyan was 3rd, Jing Tianyi 5th, and Xiao Zun 6th. Usually, when one of them made a move alone, the mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. Now that the 3 of them were attacking together, would Mayan and the chaotic tower be able to stop them? Almost everyone shook their heads. They were very confident that Chu Xinyan and the others would be able to kill the unfettered 6 sons. No matter how strong the defenses of the chaotic pagoda were, no matter how heaven-defying Junmayan's talent is, how could she withstand the joint attack of 3 tribulation-passing experts? The moment Chu Xinyan and the other 2 soared into the sky, Mayan's fingers are already strumming the Tian Mo Qin. The sound of the zither reverberated in cadence. In the blink of an eye, a barrier made of zither notes appeared before the chaotic tower. Divine hands weaving the heavens activated. Boom! The entire heavenly Phoenix Mountain range seemed to shake violently. Some of the younger generation of the aristocratic families and sects couldn't even sit properly and fell from their chairs. The powerful pressure caused all the cultivators at the crossing calamity stage and above to turn pale, and their internal organs to churn. Just based on this, one could tell how powerful the attacks of Chu Xinyan and the other two were. However, the chaotic pagoda did not budge. It didn't even shake like when Shui Zhaoguang chopped down with his sword. This was awkward. Chu Xinyan, Jing Tianyi, and Xiao Zun's faces turned ashen. The three of them exchanged glances and launched their second wave of attacks at the same time. Under the chaotic tower, Mu Yin, who was playing the zither with both hands, had a somewhat pale complexion, but his movements were also extremely fast. The sound of the zither was noisy, like the sound of a powerful army. Divine Hands Weaving the Heavens was activated once more. The difference was that talisman markings were faintly flowing on the wall of sound this time. Boom! After a loud explosion, everything returned to normal. The chaotic tower was still peaceful and serene. After a moment of silence, there was a burst of cheers. These cheers were like slaps that ruthlessly slapped Chu Xinyan, Jing Tianyi, and Xiao Zun's faces. Three swordsmen ranked in the top 10 of the green sky list couldn't even break through the protective shield created by a little girl's zither music. Who would believe such a joke? Suddenly, someone in the square cried out in surprise, "A formation in midair. How is this possible?" The one who spoke was the head of the Killing Rakshasa sect, Lei Hong. The Killing Rakshasa sect had always been devoted to the research of formations and formation plates. Lei Hong, the head of the Killing Rakshasa sect, was the only formation master at the Crossing Calamity stage. Chapter 3038. However, at this moment, Lei Hong looked at the protective barrier outside the chaotic tower and revealed an indescribable expression. When everyone looked at it, they realized that the faintly discernible runes on the protective barrier were actually a complete defensive formation. It was this formation and the sound barrier that blocked the joint attack of the three tribulation-passing cultivators. But without array discs and crystals, how did the talisman arrays take shape, and how did they work? She only used a zither. Everyone looked at the zither-playing girl in shock. Just a moment ago, she had displayed her miraculous medical skills to the crowd. And now, her ability to set up an array in mid-air shocked everyone to the point that their souls almost leaped out of their bodies. Jumayan, how many more tricks did she have up her sleeves? Was there anything in the world that she couldn't do? Jing Tianyi's gaze fell on Jumayan. In fact, he already knew that she had broken Fusang City's 10 Ultimate Formation and cleansing Lu Pavilion's 10,000 Raging Formation. But how could hearing about it compare to seeing it with his own eyes? This woman was really too powerful and terrifying. No matter what, he must get rid of Jumayan and the Xiao Yao sect today. If she was given the chance to continue growing, the threat she would pose in the future would be unimaginable. But it was also because of this woman's strength that they couldn't fight her head-on. Otherwise, as the leader of the Demon Extermination Alliance, Jing Tianyi's cleansing Lu Pavilion and the Horton tribe would have to take the lead. At that time, even if they killed Jumayan and obtained the treasures, cleansing Lu Pavilion would suffer heavy losses. On the contrary, when the Sandpiper and Clam fought, the fishermen would benefit. Thinking of this, Jing Tianyi glanced at the 6 people of the Xiao Yao sect who were still meditating in the chaotic tower. He said in a low voice, looking at the airflow around these 6 little demons, it's impossible for them to advance without a day's effort. The most important thing right now is to get rid of Jumayan before the other 6 wake up. Chu Xinyan and Xiao Zun both looked at Jing Tianyi. Jing Tianyi looked at everyone in the plaza and smiled coldly. Killing evil demons is currently the most important matter in the entire cultivation continent. Of course, we need to work together and make everyone contribute their share of the effort. Don't you think so, Marquis Chu and Lord Xiao? Jing Tianyi's voice was so soft that only Xiao Zun and Chu Xinyan, who were beside him, could hear him. Moreover, the meaning of his words was very vague. But the two of them understood immediately. At this moment, if the 3 of them want to kill Mayan, they might succeed. But this woman was too evil. When he was still at the leaving aperture stage, he was able to kill the great elder of cleansing Lu Pavilion, who was at the 5th tribulation passing realm. If they were to fight her head-on, even if they could win, the three of them would suffer heavy injuries. In the end, it even benefited others, who picked up Mayan's treasures. There's one more thing that I'm afraid all of you are aware of. There are more than 8 people in the Xiaoyao sect. There's also young Master Yun Xiao, whom even we are afraid of. Hearing this, Xiahou Zun and Chu Xinyan's pupils shrank. The continent's #1 swordsman, Luo Yunxiao. No one knew exactly how strong he was. Back then, Zhao Yingli, who was at the nascent soul stage, challenged Luo Yunxiao and recorded it on a photographic talisman. It was broadcasted to the Tianguang ruins and caused a sensation. Chapter 3039. In this match, Zhao Yingli lost without any suspense. It was a complete and utter defeat. But there was one thing that many people did not know. Zhao Yingli's father, Zhao Qingning, was a tribulation passing expert. Moreover, he was ranked second on the Green Sky list, the famous absolute swordsman. 5 years ago, Zhao Qingning had secretly challenged Luo Yunxiao to a duel for the title of the top swordsman in the cultivation land. Everyone thought that it would be an evenly matched battle. However, the final result was Zhao Qingning's crushing defeat. The dignified, absolute swordsman, second only to Lung Yaoshan in the cultivation land, was unable to recover from that setback and could not even pick up his sword. Later, he disappeared, and no one in the cultivation land had ever seen him again. And after Luo Yunxiao was crowned as the top swordsman and the most handsome man in the cultivation land, he kept a low profile as usual. As a result, very few people knew about this duel. Until 2 years ago, Zhao Yingli wanted to avenge his father and once again found Luo Yunxiao. Zhao Yingli was only a nascent soul cultivator. The title, Empty Cry Sword, was given casually by everyone out of respect for Zhao Qingning. After Zhao Qingning's disappearance, the Zhao family fell apart, and Zhao Yingli could not even stay in the Purple Cloud domain. How could such a person be a match for young Master Yunxiao? Zhao Yingli himself obviously thought so too. So before the duel, he thought of a sinister trick. He obtained a colorless and odorless poison from the 10,000 Poison Valley and released it before the start of the duel. Zhao Yingli had the idea of perishing together with Luo Yunxiao. He even specially asked someone to use a photographic talisman to record Luo Yunxiao's ugly appearance when he died from the poison, so that he could avenge his father's tainted reputation. However, what shocked Zhao Yingli and those who knew about it? Even Zhao Yingli, who had taken the antidote beforehand, could only hold on for a quarter of an hour before collapsing in the poisonous fog. But Luo Yunxiao acted as if nothing had happened from beginning to end. He had even helped Zhao Yingli force out the poison in his body after he had defeated Zhao Yingli. Later, no one knew what Luo Yunxiao said to Zhao Yingli. He only knew that from then on, not only did Zhao Yingli not hate Luo Yunxiao, but he also worshipped her. But there was one thing that everyone was clear about. Young Master Yunxiao was very strong. He was so strong that he wasn't someone they could easily contend against. It was even possible that he was like young Master Suicide, Ning Su, and did not belong to the cultivation continent. Luo Yunxiao was not here. But what if he came back one day and found out that the 3 of them had slaughtered his fellow disciples? The consequences weren't something cleansing Delight Pavilion, Duke Dingbei, or Imperial House Xiahou were willing to bear. Jing Tianyi slowly said in a low voice, "But what if everyone participates in this demon-slaying mission? No matter how powerful Mr. Yunxiao is, do you think he can kill everyone in the entire Purple Cloud world, or even the entire cultivation mainland?" This was the main reason why he had to blame the Unfettered Seven for the crimes of the Unfettered Seven, no matter what. Jing Tianyi and the other 2 landed in front of the Demon Slaughter Palace. Muyan also took the opportunity to stop playing. In fact, activating Divine Hands Weaver and Star Curtain at the same time to resist the powerful attacks of 3 tribulation-passing cultivators was quite a burden on her. "Jun Muyan, do you know your crimes?" Jing Tianyi shouted as soon as he landed. His expression was cold and murderous. In a split second, he suppressed the whispers of ridicule and shock in the square. Chapter 3040. I've long known that you people are cruel and ruthless. You've taken over other people's bodies to be reborn, slaughtered innocent people, controlled the corpse puppets to wreak havoc on the northern continent, and destroyed the soaring dragon sect's thousand-year foundation. All of these things that we cultivators of the righteous Tao despise, yet you people killed them all without any qualms. But I didn't expect that you would be so crazy as to kill your own master. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning for your actions? Jing Tiany's words were filled with righteousness and righteousness. Beside him, Yeshua was holding a mirage stone and recording everything that happened in the demon-slaying square. Then, she selectively spread it to every corner of the cultivation continent through the Tianguang ruins. Muyan was still fine after hearing this. Beside her, Kong Yuanjiu, Zhou Daoi, and Fatty Zheng were almost angered to death. The person who wanted to kill Shiqing was Chu Xinyan, and they were the ones who destroyed the Dragon Soar Academy with their own hands. Now, they were twisting the truth and pushing it all onto the unfettered seven. How shameless were these people? It was you who used the lives of Shiqing and the Starry School's students to threaten him. Now, you're saying that God Jun betrayed his master? You've already said everything. Who's the shameless one? The thousands of Starry School's students and teachers have never done anything evil, yet they were captured and abused by you for no reason. I think you're the ones who should be struck by lightning. Jing Tiany snickered, indicating that he was prepared to deal with this accusation. Unhurriedly, he said, the demon-slaying alliance didn't want to use hostages to threaten you. But you unfettered seven demons are too cunning. You bewitched everyone from Starry School and the Dragon Soar Academy and controlled them to become your puppets. If we don't get rid of these demons, the ones who will suffer in the end are the ordinary cultivators and citizens. Even if we have to resort to extreme measures, we have a clear conscience. Jun Muyin, you want to incite your subordinates to tarnish the demon-slaying alliance's reputation? Save it. Muyin stops Zheng Xiaoping, who was about to curse out loud. She says in a leisurely manner, Alliance Master Jing, I understand that you three were quite embarrassed when you couldn't break through the chaotic tower just now. So, you urgently need to say some ruthless words to regain some face. But can't you change your repetitive words a little? You don't get tired of talking too much, but my ears are getting calluses from listening to you too much. Or could it be that Alliance Master Jing really thinks that after telling a lie 100 times, what you have in your hands is the truth? Jing Tiany's expression was gloomy, but he did not get angry. Instead, he laughed coldly. Jun Mayan, whether what I said is a lie or not, it would be better to let the victims who have been harmed by Yu Xiao Yao's seven devils prove it themselves. Jing Tiany waved his hand. From the demon-slaying hall, a large wave of men and women of different cultivation bases immediately surged out. Mine doesn't recognize most of these people. However, there were also some who looked familiar. At this moment, almost all of them were looking at her with hatred and fear. Mu Yan's heart thumps. He quickly guessed what Jing Tiany wanted to do. Tell me, how were you harmed by the Xiao Yao seven devils? Jing Tiany's words caused these people to look at each other in dismay. They wanted to say something but stopped. From time to time, they would look at Mayan with frightened eyes. Jing Tiany chuckled. You don't have to be afraid. The purpose of today's demon-slaying conference is to kill the seven devils of the Xiao Yao school and return peace to the cultivation continent. You can speak out loudly if you have any grievances or hatred. Chapter 3041. Everyone here is a respected patriarch of the Purple Cloud Realm. They will definitely seek justice for you. Most of the people called out by Jing Tiany didn't have high cultivation. Some were only at the Qi condensation stage. Facing Jun Mayan, who was already at the tribulation stage, they were instinctively afraid even if she didn't release any pressure. But Jing Tiany's words gave them a glimmer of hope, because they discovered that everyone sitting in the plaza was famous. They could only dream of such great figures in the past. With them here, what could a mere Jun Mayan amount to? Thus, someone boldly spoke up. With the first, there was a second, a third, and each one was more impassioned and indignant than the last. I am Ning Hai, the housekeeper of Ning Mansion in Min Lujia. Back then, our Ning family had no enmity or grievances with that demoness, Jun Mayan. But she first killed our young master, then later killed master, and even burned our Ning mansion to the ground. It's a pity that our Ning family was originally the #1 family in the Min Lu realm. But who would have thought that we would end up like this? Jun Mayan, do you still recognize me? I am Qian Feng, an elder of the Leaf Fire sect. That day at the Blue Cloud Realm sect selection, you poisoned my nephew. I still remember that. My Tian family was originally one of the 5 great families of the Azure Blue Realm, but because we offended these 7 little demons, our entire family was massacred. But these beasts still refused to stop, and actually painted the naked bodies of our Tian family on paper, making us the laughingstock of the entire Azure Blue Realm. Jun Mayan, this enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Today, I will represent the Tian family to seek justice. Jun Mayan stole our Flowing Moon sect's top secret pill formula, and even publicized it in the Heaven Light Ruins, making our Flowing Moon sect unable to stay in the Purple Cloud Realm. Boo-hoo! In the Tri-Academy tournament, I only said a few unpleasant words to them, but I was wantonly humiliated by the unfettered 7 demons. It wasn't easy for us to enter the Woodfern Mystic Realm, and we almost died, but in the end, we gained nothing. It's all because of that insatiable demoness Jun Mayan. She took away the treasures that should have belonged to us. Such a demon. He deserves to die. If I don't kill Jun Mayan, if I don't kill the unfettered 7 devils, it will be hard to dispel the hatred in my heart. The words of these people were all sincere. Some of the people on the Demon Massacre Plaza didn't believe it, but most of them did, especially those families and sects that were originally neutral. At this moment, their eyes were filled with disgust and fear as they looked at Mayan. Jing Tianyi lowered his eyes and smiled proudly. Jun Mayan, this is just the beginning. I'd like to see how long you can last. He raised his hand, signaling for them to quiet down. He then turned around and faced the Mirage Stone in Yashua's hand. If someone was on the Rebirth Square of Tianguang Ruins, they would discover that on the tall tower in the center of the square, there were many people standing on it. From the very beginning, it had been playing everything that had been released at the foot of Mount Feng. At that moment, Jing Tianyi's righteous and awe-inspiring face appeared in front of everyone in the Reincarnation Plaza. Through the Tianguang Ruins, they were sent to every main city of the Xiuzhen continent. Jing Tianyi coughed lightly, then said in a clear voice, I've transmitted everything that happened in the Demon Massacre gathering to every corner of the Xiuzhen continent through the Tianguang Ruins, hoping to inform everyone. Chapter 3042. Slaying demons and devils isn't just the responsibility of our demon-slaying alliance. It's the responsibility of everyone in the world. Here, I appeal to all those who have been persecuted by the unfettered 7 devils, or those who have the ambition to kill the evil devils, to gather at the foot of the Heavenly Phoenix Mountain Range. Be it the Min Lu Realm, the Azure Cloud Realm, the Azure Blue Realm, or the Purple Cloud Realm, you can all vent your hatred and grievances at our devil-slaying conference. I, Jing Tianyi, promise everyone here that I will not allow these evil demons to harm the world. Even if your cultivation is low and you have no background, you do not need to worry about the revenge of the unfettered 7 devils. Because my Demon Extermination Alliance will definitely ensure your safety. Furthermore, after this matter is over and the cultivation continent has regained its peace, all the brave warriors who participated in the slaughter of the demons today will be rewarded. After saying that, Jing Tianyi raised his hand and gestured. Immediately, Cleansing Joy Pavilion's deacons brought array discs to various parts of the Heavenly Phoenix Mountain Range. As the array disc and the crystal were buried, a ray of light flashed in all directions of the Heavenly Phoenix Mountain Range. Everyone quickly recognized what it was. Teleportation Array. As everyone knows, although there are already many flying magic treasures in the cultivation continent, however, the continent was incomparably vast. It would take at least 3 to 5 days of flying to reach the foot of the Heavenly Phoenix Mountain Range from Minlu, Azure Cloud, and Kanglin. However, things would be different if there was a teleportation array. As long as there were enough crystals, almost all the people on the cultivation continent could be gathered here through the teleportation array. Many of the cultivators present could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. That was over 100 teleportation arrays. He didn't expect that Mu Pavilion was willing to pay such a high price to kill the unfettered seven devils. Everyone's gazes turned towards the young girl in front of the chaotic tower. Her complexion was as beautiful as snow, peerless and indifferent. Her expression was indifferent, as if she had no reaction to what was happening in front of her. But a thought flashed through everyone's mind. Junmayan is finished. The unfettered seven devils were finished. Gossip is a fearful thing, and it can destroy one's bones. Regardless of whether the unfettered seven devils were truly evil or not, after today, they would all become sinners condemned by everyone. There was no room for a comeback. The students of Soaring Dragon and Stellar Union obviously understood this better than Mu Yin. Therefore, all of their faces were deathly pale, and they were filled with hatred and despair. They wanted to refute loudly, but no one was willing to listen to them. Jing Tianyi was obviously satisfied with the change in everyone's expressions. He pointed at the teleportation formations that had been set up in the mountains and continued. These 108 teleportation formations are connected to the main districts of Min LV, Qing Yun, Songlan, and Purple Yun. As long as you're interested, you can use these teleportation formations to watch this devil-slaying feast and personally witness the tragic end of the unfettered seven devils. It was as if they were responding to his words. The teleportation arrays lit up one after another. Cultivators of different cultivation bases and dressed in different attires came out one after another. They were just here to join in the fun. Some of them had heard Jing Tianyi's promise and wanted a share of the spoils. Some of them have already been brainwashed. From the bottom of their hearts, they think that Mu Yin and the others are evil devils who bring disaster to the cultivation world. They hope to see them turn into ashes with their own eyes. But there were also people who had witnessed the brilliance of the Xiao Yao 7 at the Deer Cry banquet, and also admired Yi Liangqin's invincibility when he slaughtered the list. They did not believe that such a dazzling genius could really be the evil demon that everyone cursed. Chapter 3043. Jing Tian sees that more and more people are coming, and he lets out a low snort. The general trend is now in his hands. No matter how many tricks Junmayan has up her sleeves, besieged on all sides, she will have nowhere to go, and it will be difficult for her to escape. What's more, his meticulous plan hasn't been completely revealed yet. Swish! A sword light suddenly shines in the square. Following that 2, 3, 4, under everyone's astonishment, they see dozens of figures suddenly fly out from one of the transmission arrays. The sword light whistles, heading straight for Junmayan in front of the chaotic tower. Junmayan, you killed my master, destroyed my Heaven Jian sect's century-old foundation. I'll fight it out with you, you devil. Heaven Jian sect was the sect that competed with Mayan for the mysterious ghost wood and scarlet flame gold in the Woodfern's secret territory. In the end, the Heaven Jian sect, which had gathered almost all of its elites, was utterly defeated by Mayan in the secret territory. Even the sect's ancestor Gu Yinglong, the only peak-leaving body expert, died in Di Ming Ju's hands. Since then, Heaven Jian sect has fallen from a second-rate sect to a third-rate sect, no longer having a foothold in Ziyunjie. The hatred these Heaven Jian sect disciples have for Junmayan can be imagined. Unfortunately, even if their ancestor Gu Yinglong comes back to life, Mayan won't put him in her eyes at all, let alone a few nascent soul-stage disciples. The zither sounds leisurely, and these people feel a gust of wind blowing on their faces. The swords in their hands tremble twice and fly out of their hands. The few of them let out a blood-curdling screech and directly fell to the ground, their faces flat on the face. If one were to say how tragic and heroic they were when they first came out of the transmission array, how embarrassing and funny they are now. There are even some cultivators who can't help but laugh out loud. The Heaven Jian sect disciples are ashamed and angry, glaring at Junmayan. The girl in snow-white clothes has already stopped plucking the strings. Her mocking gaze falls on them, and she shakes her head. What? Hasn't your Heaven Jian sect disbanded yet? Junmayan, don't go too far. Mayan has a smile that isn't a smile. When did I go too far? Oh, are you talking about how your Heaven Reflection sect couldn't compete with me in the Woodfern Secret Realm, so you shamelessly tried to bully me with your numbers, only to be killed by me in the end? The disciples of the Heaven Jin sect were speechless, because Junmayan's words, in just a few words, were extremely accurate. But how could they admit to such a fact? For a moment, their faces alternated between green and white, but they couldn't say a single word. Junmayan? The disciples of Heaven Jin sect were put on the spot. Suddenly, an angry shout came from the crowd. Even if you and the Tian Jin sect are competing for the treasure, what about my daughter? How did my daughter offend you? Why do you want to harm her like this? Mu Yen raises an eyebrow. Who are you? The speaker was a middle-aged man in his 40s. His face was filled with righteous indignation, and his eyes were filled with tears, as if he had suffered a great injury. At this time, he didn't answer Mu Yan's question. Instead, he cupped his hands towards the surrounding cultivators and loudly said, "This one is Su Shiqing, and my daughter is called Su Luoi. She was originally the most promising genius of Dragon Ascension Academy. But who would have thought that this demoness, Junmayan, would be jealous of my daughter's beauty in the Woodfern Secret Realm? She actually gave her a bone-eroding pill, turning her into something neither human nor ghost. Do you know how torturous and hateful it is for me to watch my daughter suffer like this every day?" Chapter 3044. As they spoke, someone brought a stretcher up. Lying on it was a skinny woman with sunken eyes and blue veins all over her body. Rather than a person, it would be better to say that she was an ugly, malicious spirit. At this time, the woman was struggling to jump up from the stretcher, pointing at Mayan and shouting, "Junmayan, it's all your fault. Give me back my face. Give me back my beauty. I'm going to kill you. Kill you." Longtongue Heavenly Academy's Su Luoi's beauty was also famous in the Ziyun realm. Compared to her current ugly appearance that was like a ghost, many people in the square were shaken to the core. This is really Junmayan's doing? Torturing an innocent woman to this state. Isn't Junmayan going too far? Why else would she call them demons? Only demons would use such cruel and despicable methods. Su Shiqing went to Su Luoi's stretcher and knelt down, crying and kowtowing. "I, Su Shiqing, know that my cultivation is low, and I don't have the ability to seek justice from this demoness. I asked the seniors of the Demon-Slaying Alliance to lend me a hand. If we can kill the demons and avenge my daughter, I, Su Shiqing, am willing to work like a horse for the rest of my life." Jing Tianyi promptly stepped forward and helped him up. "Fellow Daoist Su is too serious. Slaying demons and eliminating demons is what we righteous cultivators should do. We don't deserve such courtesy." "Everyone!" Jing Tianyi pushed Su Shiqing away and suddenly raised the sword in his hand, pointing it at the sky. "You've all seen the crimes of the unfettered 7 demons with your own eyes. As long as they are allowed to live, more innocent cultivators will suffer. Can we allow them to continue to be presumptuous? No!" The square shouted in unison, shaking the world. "Good! Jing Tianyi, thank you for your righteousness. Everyone, please listen to my command. All leaving body stage cultivators and above, attack with me. All leaving body stage cultivators attack the chaotic tower. All crossing tribulation cultivators attack Junmayan together with me. Today, we will let these demons spill their blood on the spot and turn them into ashes. Blood splattered on the spot, and ashes scattered in the wind." The cultivators who were sitting on the carved chairs stood up one by one. They excitedly shouted their slogans. Pairs of wolf-like and tiger-like eyes stared at the lone girl in front of the chaotic tower. Whether it was because of benefits or the superiority of righteous cultivators, they also wanted to kill this demonic woman so that she would never be able to act so arrogantly again. However, there were also some people who remained seated and did not move. "Lord Lan, Lord Su, Lord Morong, what is the meaning of this? Don't tell me you really want to protect these 7 demons?" Chu Xinyan asked coldly. Lan Etian frowned and said, "This matter has not been thoroughly investigated." These accusations are only their one-sided words. They cannot prove that the 7 carefree sons are demons. Ha! Chu Xinyan laughed loudly. Even at this point in time, King Lan is still able to say such ridiculous words. Who on the continent doesn't know about the actions of the unfettered 7 devils? You said that they are only one-sided, but if one person says so, it might be a lie. But if so many people accuse him at the same time, is it also a lie? The people who had just accused Mayan immediately pointed to the heavens and shouted loudly. We guarantee that every word we said is the truth. If there is any falsehood, we may be struck by lightning. Chapter 30:45. Did you hear that? Chu Xinyan looked at Lan Etian mockingly. You don't believe the testimonies of so many innocent victims, but you believe the words of a few demons. I can't help but suspect that the entire Lan royal family is in cahoots with the unfettered 7 demons. Could it be that even the Lan royal family has been bewitched and corrupted by the unfettered 7 demons like Dragon Ascension Academy? Lan Etian shouted angrily, Chu Xinyan, how dare you slander us? Chu Xinyan laughed loudly. What? Are you angry now that this marquis has seen through you? Lan Etian was about to say something when he heard a clear voice that was like the sound of nature. Chu Xinyan, it's fine if others call me a demon. You are an old monster who created the Blood Abyss Vine and the Heavenly Flood Dragon. You have survived until now by absorbing the essence of your own children. What qualifications do you have to talk nonsense here? Chu Xinyan's face stiffened. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes as he said sternly, Jun Mayan, stop slandering me. Do you think that you can live a little longer by creating rumors and sowing discord? Jing Tianyi, what are you waiting for? Quickly give the order to kill this demoness. Jing Tianyi snorted coldly and thought to himself, you have no right to order this alliance, master. But he knew very well what the most important thing was right now. Moreover, Chu Xinyan's background was indeed not clean. If this little girl really exposed him, then it would be difficult for him to use his subsequent methods. Thus, Jing Tianyi looked coldly at Lan Etian, Su Mingyue, and Murong Yin. He said sternly, the unfettered 7 demons are heinous demons. There is no doubt about that. You still don't want to make a move. Are you determined to protect the demons and become enemies with all the righteous cultivators in the world? The unfettered 7 demons have saved our Murong family. Murong Yin, who had been silent all this while, said hoarsely, I know their character. They're definitely not evil demons. Shouldn't we investigate this matter thoroughly before making a decision? The ancestor of the Murong family had left to travel many years ago, and since then, there was no trace of him. Murong Yin was only at the peak of leaving Body Realm. In front of a group of tribulation-passing experts, he had no right to speak. They did not dare to fight against the demon-slaying alliance like Lan Etian and Su Mingyue. But at this moment, he was unable to remain silent any longer. If it weren't for the unfettered 7 sons, Murong Shui might have already been tortured to death by the Shui family. Without Jun Mayan, how could the Murong family get rid of the blood fiend that had troubled them for so many years? With such kindness in front of them, if their Murong family still made a move against Jun Mayan, then what difference would there be between them and cruel and unscrupulous animals? Investigate? What else is there to investigate? Shui Zhaoguang's sinister gaze swept over every single member of the Murong family. He sneered, Alliance head Jing, I think that Murong Yin has ulterior motives. He wholeheartedly wants to buy time for those 7 little demons. They must have been bewitched by Jun Mayan long ago and joined the Xiao Yao sect. Since we're slaying demons, we naturally have to eliminate them completely, including their claws and teeth. I don't think this Murong family can be left alive. Let's kill them all today. Murong Yan's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed in horror, Shui Zhaoguang, you? What about me? Shui Zhaoguang sneered. Who here doesn't know whether Jun Mayan is an evil demon or not? Yet, you insist on being unreasonable and confusing the public. If you're not trying to protect this group of evil demons, then what are you? If you're not convinced, why don't you ask loudly right now? Are the unfettered 7 sons evil demons? Chapter 3046. Yes! The uniform shouts made Shui Xiaoguang very satisfied. That devil Jun Mayan. Should we kill her immediately? She deserves to die. No. She deserves to die. Kill. Suddenly, a hoarse roar overshadowed the shouts of the people in the square. Shui Xiaoguang didn't expect that someone would tear down his stage at this time. He suddenly turned his head to look. He saw that the more than 100 transmission arrays had all lit up. One by one, cultivators came out from them. There were men and women, old and young, low and high cultivations. Moreover, it could be determined from the different transmission arrays they appeared in. Each of them came from different towns, sects, and even domains. But the amazing thing was that they were wearing the same clothes. White with blue edges, valiant and formidable. On each of their chests were the words glamorous outlined in scarlet runes. As they walked and the spiritual power in their bodies gushed out, the two words glamorous shone brightly, as if it could dazzle people's eyes. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, this group of people had already gathered in the demon-slaying square at an extremely fast speed, standing by Mayan's side. The youth in the lead held a folding fan in his hand. When he saw Mayan, his eyebrows immediately curved, revealing a look of infatuation and excitement. But the voice that came out of his mouth was low and steady, as if it had been brewing for countless days and nights. Great God Jun, I've made you wait for a long time. Glamorous fallen army reporting. Mayan looked at the people in front of her in a daze, her eyes sweeping from one face to another. Some were familiar, some were unfamiliar. Some had fought side by side with her, and some had only met once. She found her voice after a long time. What are you doing here? Do you still need to ask? Of course, to support you. Great God? Who dares to say that Great God Jun is a devil? I, Suda, will be the first to refuse. If we can't stand up for our idol when she is bullied, what kind of loyal supporters are we? Xiao Yinchuan, Shui Xiaoguang roared. Are you tired of living? You dare to openly support this devil woman? Xiao Yinchuan waved his folding fan and said indifferently, I say, is there something wrong with your brains? Meiyan, cough. How could the great god Jun be a demon? Have you ever seen such a beautiful demon in the world? These words made the surrounding onlookers burst into laughter. After laughing, he felt that those words made sense. As the saying goes, one's appearance comes from one's heart. Under the sunlight, a young girl played the zither alone. Her clothes were whiter than snow. Her features were picturesque, and her appearance could topple cities. When he sat there quietly, he was like an antique and everlasting painting. Just a glance at him would cause one to be intoxicated and unable to extricate themselves. How could such a young girl be a demon? For a time, the murderous atmosphere that was originally at daggers drawn quietly changed. Jing Tianyi had never expected that such a large group of people would suddenly appear, even though he had been in perfect control of the Devil Slaughter Conference. He glanced at the Mirage Lightstone with a gloomy expression before he spoke up in a cold voice. Xiao Yunchuan, you openly associate yourself with the devils. Haven't you ever thought about the fate of your own sect and clan? The Xiao family was only a second or third-rate family in the Ziyun realm. They didn't have the right to be invited to the Devil Slaying Conference. Pa! Xiao Yunchuan put away the folding fan in his hand, and the smile on his face disappeared. Chapter 3047. Xiao Yunchuan says coldly, Uncle, you don't have to worry about this. I, Xiao Yunchuan, have already severed my relationship with the Xiao family this morning. From now on, I, Xiao Yunchuan, will be responsible for everything I do. It has nothing to do with the Xiao family. I, Chinda, have also severed my relationship with the Green Tooth sect. I will be responsible for my own actions. It has nothing to do with my family. For a moment, everyone is stunned. Even Mayan looks at the men and women surrounding her in disbelief. When she was besieged by 3 experts at the peak of crossing Calamity Stage, she wasn't afraid at all. She didn't even raise her eyebrows when she was condemned by thousands of people and splashed with dirty water. But at this moment, because of these people in front of her, who she either met by chance or didn't know, Her chest is surging with raging waves. However, no one thought that this was just the beginning. Jing Tianyi shouts, "You think that by pretending to sever ties, you can let your family..." Before he can finish, hundreds of transportation arrays light up again. This time, there were even more people coming out of the cave than before. It's similar to the devastating city army. They also come from different towns, have different cultivations, men and women, and wear the same clothes. The only difference is, the two words embroidered on their chests are not devastating city, but Liangshan. At this moment, a name flashes through everyone's mind, Liangshan Army. The cultivators sitting on both sides can no longer hold back and shout, "How is this possible? The devastating city army is here. They are here to support Mayan." Everyone can understand. After all, Mayan has that kind of beauty that can put the moon to shame, and this is a real contact. It's not impossible for these Liangshan army to be bewitched and lured. But what about the Liangshan army? They're just a motley crew gathered in Tianguang ruins. These people haven't even seen Mayan's real face. They don't even know her real identity. What are they doing here? Could it be that they are also risking their lives to support Mayan? How is this possible? The impressive group of people from the Liangshan army doesn't care about what the cultivators in the demon-slaying square are thinking. Without waiting for the crowd to react, they all rush to the Devil Massacre Plaza. Seeing the devastatingly beautiful army that was already standing beside Mu Yan, someone immediately beat his chest and stamped his feet. "Easy, bro. It's all your fault for dilly-dallying, causing us to be snatched away by the devastating city-destroying army. What's the use of being first? We outnumber them, and our quality is better than theirs." The title of Great God, Ye's #1 supporter belongs to none other than my Liangshan army. Amidst the clamor, the majestic crowd has already stood on Mu Yan's right side. Elegant Bro, North Sunflower, Xiang Nuan, Sister Hua, and Old Ma stood in a row and bowed to Mu Yan. Liangshan Dajuan reporting for duty. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Almighty Yi." The voices of the four of them were hoarse and trembling with excitement. They had always known how outstanding the person they admired was. However, no one had expected that Yap Liangshan was actually Jun Mayan, their idol. He was much more outstanding and powerful than they had imagined. In this life, to be able to follow this person, to have the opportunity to protect this person, even if they were to die in this demon-slaying square, they would have no regrets. Mu Yan opened her mouth, wanting to scold them a few times. Why did they come? Why did they risk their lives for a person they haven't even seen, disregarding everything? Chapter 3048. But when she saw the blazing light in their eyes, all the voices turned into a stream of heat, rolling into the bottom of her heart, churning and imprinting. Whether it was Jun Mayan or Yap Liangshan, everything she had done was just following her heart and doing it in passing. Perhaps she had helped someone, perhaps she had protected someone, or perhaps she had become someone's hope. But those were nothing more than small favors, and she had long since thrown them to the back of her mind. However, the things that she had forgotten, these people remembered them one by one and guarded them carefully. Until today, when their wings had fully grown, the position of protector and protected exchanged. It was like a seed that she had unintentionally sown, and when she wasn't paying attention, it had already blossomed and borne fruit, and the trees had grown into shade. This time, it was their turn to stand in front of her, to shield her from the wind and rain, to overcome all difficulties. This time, it was their turn to guard her, so that she would no longer be bullied by anyone. Mayan suddenly lowered her eyes, covering the damp heat that was about to gush out. She took a deep breath, and after a long time, she raised her head and swept her gaze over everyone present. Her eyes were sparkling, as if there were thousands of things she wanted to say, but in the end, she could only say 2 words. "Thank you. Thank you for being willing to stand by my side unwaveringly when I was being condemned by thousands of people. Thank you for being willing to believe in a stranger like me without reservation. Thank you for protecting me, supporting me, and unwavering from the beginning until now. What's there to thank? We are your #1 legion. If someone bullied you, how could we? the Yapliangshan army not come? Hey. Even if you have a big face, there should be a limit. Okay? The number 1 Legion of God June is naturally our devastating troops. At best, what you're supporting is just a sock puppet of God June. And even the name isn't real? Are you not ashamed to compare yourself to us? Bah! I know that you devastating troops are shameless, but I didn't expect you to be this shameless. When God, ye slaughtered Tianguang ruins and dominated the 6 Stars Pagoda. Who knows where you were playing with mud? The Lord of 6 Stars is a fart. One person slaughtering a city. Only Junmaya knows. Haha, in the heavens and on the earth, in the 3 realms and 6 realms, the one and only descendant of the Medicine King. Under Yapliangshan, there is no king. Once a luring city appears, who dares to challenge her? Within the chaotic tower, the people who had just been moved by the sudden arrival of the devastating city army and the Good Day army. At this moment, all of their faces were filled with black lines, and they were just short of rushing out to bash these people's heads. What the hell was wrong with him? Back then, when they didn't know he was alone, it was fine if they argued. Now that he knew he was alone, he was still arguing? Moreover, why don't they look at the occasion? Was it a situation that they could coax? However, what caused everyone to collapse was that it was one thing for the beautiful city army and Liangshan army to quarrel. Even in the chaotic tower, there were supporters of Jun Mayan and Yi Liangshan fighting against each other. In the end, they simply ran out of the chaotic tower and joined their respective teams. And then, they continued bickering. Mu Yin. All right, even she wanted to face-bomb. However, this farce was not over yet. This was because the 3rd wave of people had come out of the teleportation array. These people did not wear the same uniform, nor did they have any embroidered symbols. But as soon as they stepped out of the teleportation formation, they started shouting at the top of their lungs. Chapter 3049. Carefree, who else but me? Carefree, dominating the world. One sword Mountain Sea, Yun Ruhan. One sword to conquer the 9 provinces. One sword to swallow the mountains and seas. Shaking Mount Tai, Qin Jiu, the strongest defense, the strongest fist, the most reliable almighty Qin. Silverbow Godly Arrow, Chu Moli, the number 1 long-range attacker. Even a wheelchair can't stop you. Raging Flame Blade, Lung Yuma. The Red Lotus seizes the soul. The raging flame devours the soul. Who said that women are inferior to men? Gale Enghua Ling Yushing. The wind that no one can catch up to. The fire that no space can obstruct. Thousand Hands Godly Summoner, Lan Liu. The Baifeng on the left, the puppet on the right, the strongest summoner in the cultivation continent. Who else but you? Azure Blue Purple Cloud, a brilliant feat. Woodfern dominates. Fusang massacres the city. Beautiful city. Who dares to challenge? The 7 carefree men, not one less. The 7 carefree men advance with indomitable will. This group's movements were even more chaotic than Liang Qin's army and Beautiful City's army, and their numbers were far less than those 2. But their voices were each louder than the last, and the slogans they shouted were surprisingly uniform. As they shouted, they walked to Mu Yan's side. Then, they forcibly squeezed out a space from Liang Qin's army and Beautiful City's army. The 7 carefree men are the strongest when they combine, and Almighty June is the happiest and most invincible in the carefree sect. So, all of you, get out of the way. Our carefree army is the number 1 army. Damn, who are you? Your face is bigger than the Beautiful City's army. You get out of the way. Get out of the way. Muyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at the 3 groups of people arguing in front of her. At this moment, Jing Tianyi shouted angrily, "Are you guys done?" Jing Tianyi was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He had plotted for so many days, meticulously plotted and arranged everything, and finally pushed the atmosphere to the most appropriate climax. Who knew that in the end, all his efforts would be ruined by this motley crew? How could Jing Tianyi not be angry? If it weren't for the fact that everyone was watching, and if it weren't for the Mirage Stone that was connected to the Tianguang ruins, he would have killed every single one of these idiots. Jing Tianyi took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart with great difficulty. Shui Zhaoguang and Su Qinquan understood what he meant and immediately incited their disciples to shout. What's wrong with these people? Why are they so supportive of a group of demons? I think they have been bewitched. I've already said that Jun Mayan, that witch, has the ability to charm people's hearts. Now it seems that it really is so. Seducing so many men at the same time, isn't it all because of her face? How disgusting. The noisy voices suddenly stopped. They were clearly a chaotic and undisciplined group of people, and they were clearly arguing with each other just now. However, when they heard someone humiliate their idol, these people didn't need anyone's orders. They instantly stopped quarreling and united against the enemy. A few people from the three armies slowly walked forward. These people were the leaders of the beautiful city's army, Liang Qin's army, and the Carefree army. It was only now that Mu Yin realized that the leader of the Carefree army was actually Murong Shui. And standing beside Murong Shui were the former members of the Kirin squad, Duan Wenbin, Jin Zhonghao, Chu Yuanlei, and Zhu Chongliang. Chapter 3050. Naturally, the cultivators present also quickly recognized him. Wenbin, why are you here? Liang, what are you doing? Come to Grandpa's side. The elders of the Qilin team obviously didn't know about this. At this time, they all cried out in alarm. Even Murong Yin stood up in shock, looking in disbelief at his daughter, who walked at the very front. He hadn't seen Murong Shui in the past few days. He thought she was in seclusion. But who knew she actually Jing Tianyi had also noticed this. He glanced at them fiercely and said coldly, Murong family master, Duan family master, Chu family master, what do you mean? Have you made up your mind to help the evildoer? The faces of the patriarchs of the great clans kept changing, and they were momentarily speechless. Murong Shui's expression was extremely calm. She stepped forward and said loudly, don't ask. Murong Shui, have cut ties with the Murong family a long time ago. What I do has nothing to do with the Murong family. It's my own choice. Duan Wenbin, also cut ties with the Duan family. Chu Yuanlei, quit the Dragon Tiger sect. Sentence after sentence of severing all ties made everyone present a little dumbfounded. Xiao Yunchuan and the others could have just said that they were cutting ties with their families and sections. The Murong family, the Duan family, the Dragon Tiger sect, the Jin family, they were all first-rate families in the Ziyun realm. Duan Wenbin and the others had become members of the Qilin team and were once the 6-star champion. Their talent and strength were naturally second to none. Their status in their families must be very high as well. But today, they were saying that they were cutting ties with their families and sects in front of everyone. Are you crazy? Did that demoness bewitch you? Why do you want to be with the evil spirits? Murong Shui sneered. What is good and what is evil? You guys look sanctimonious on the surface, but secretly do all kinds of shady things. Is that good? I'm sorry, but I don't want to be a member of such a prestigious sect. How dare you? You're just a little girl. How dare you be rude to us elders? As expected, one would be bewitched after being in contact with those demons for too long. Look, they've all lost their minds. Shui Zhaoguang glared at Murong Shui as if his gaze had been dipped in poison. Back then, it was you who killed my grandson with the unfettered 7 demons. You vicious woman. Now, you actually dare to openly support the unfettered 7 demons. I think that the Murong family itself is a nest of demons. You should be killed. As he spoke, he raised his hand to chop Murong Shui to death. However, the intermittent sound of a zither traveled into his ears. The sound of the zither did not have any offensive properties. However, Shui Zhaoguang's expression changed abruptly as he recalled the pain in his internal organs. Shui Zhaoguang was shocked and frightened. In the end, he could only clench his teeth and retreat. However, he could not help but look at the white-clothed girl sitting in front of the chaotic tower. Jun Mayan, she seems a little strange. He sat in front of the chaotic tower, neither moving nor retaliating. Only when his subordinates were attacked would he use his zither music to protect them. This kind of behavior was completely inconsistent with this woman's vengeful personality. Was it because he was not strong enough? Or was he plotting something? A trace of doubt arose in Shui Xiaoguang's heart, but he could not figure it out. In the end, he reluctantly suppressed it. Jing Tiany's gaze swept over the members of the Qilin team as he said coldly. Chapter 3051. Have you really thought it through? For the sake of a few demons that you met by chance, you want to become enemies with all the righteous cultivators in the world? You want to drag your clans and sects into an unjust situation? Do you really think it's worth it? Duan Wenbin laughed coldly. We've known the unfettered Seven Sons since the Deer Cry banquet. We know their character and conduct very well, and we sincerely regard them as friends. How is it not worth it to sacrifice one's life for one's friends? Duan Wenbin paused and turned to look at the teachers and students of Long Tongue in front of the chaotic tower. Seeing that they were alive and well, his eyes bloomed with joy and relief. When he turned back to look at Jing Tiany, his eyes flickered with even more determination. I, Duan Wenbin, have been studying in Long Tongue since I was young. All these years, I've been carefully taught and nurtured by teacher Long Tongue to have today's achievements. But you sanctimonious hypocrites, in order to obtain the chaotic tower, you actually slaughtered so many teachers and students of Long Tongue, destroying the foundation of Long Tongue for 1,000 years. Today, everyone in the Qilin team has gathered here to seek justice for Long Tongue. Even if we die here, it's worth it. Zhu Chongliang also said in a clear voice, a teacher for a day, a father for life. You killed my instructor Long Tongue and destroyed the place where I studied. If we can't stand up and seek justice for the academy, what right do we have to be students? Chu Yuanlei's voice rumbled, but it was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. Whoever makes an enemy of Long Tongue is the enemy of the Qilin team. If you want to kill another person of Long Tongue, then you'll have to step over the corpses of the Qilin team. This sonorous and forceful answer stunned Kong Yuanjiu, Zhou Daoi, and the others. Now that the academy was in trouble, the students with powerful families and backgrounds had already fled before the battle had even begun. They had originally thought that they had been abandoned by those students. But it turned out that it was not like that. These students had never forgotten that they were a member of Long Tongue. In order to seek justice for Long Tongue, these students were even willing to sever ties with their huge families. They said a teacher for a day is a father for life. They said, if you want to kill another person of Long Tongue, you'll have to step over the corpses of the Qilin team. Zhou Daoi forced himself to hold back, but he still couldn't stop the tears from streaming down his face. He pressed on Duan Wenbin's shoulder and said, good boy. In the end, he was choked with sobs and was unable to continue speaking. Inside and outside the chaotic tower, many of the Soaring Dragon Academy's teachers and students began to cry. He was touched, but he was also venting the grievances and fear that he had suffered during this period of time. Their academy had been destroyed. They were banished from the familiar divine Elephant City. They could only watch helplessly as their mentors and classmates died in front of their eyes, yet they were powerless to do anything. For the past few days, they had always thought that Long Tongue was finished, and so were they. But that was not the case. Draco was never finished. Their school buildings could be destroyed, their teachers and students could lose their lives. However, as long as these people were still alive, they would not be able to escape. Long Tongue would never disappear. No matter who is in power, as long as the soul of the Soaring Dragon exists, the academy will be passed down from generation to generation. This is the original intention of the Emperor when he established the Soaring Dragon Academy. In Sun Yuanjiu's mind, he suddenly recalled what the Six Stars Pagoda's artifact spirit had said to him 100 years ago when the power of the Soaring Dragon Academy had overlapped. At that time, he was at a loss and did not understand, but now it was as if he had been enlightened. His eyes reddened, and he could not help but reveal a relieved smile. Chapter 3052. Marquis Chu. This Su is also very confused about this matter. At this moment, Su Mingyue stood up and looked coldly at Chu Xinyan, saying, "Everyone knows the contributions that Dragon Soar Academy has made to the entire Purple Cloud domain. Just because of the accusation of colluding with demons, Marquis Chu wants to exterminate the tens of thousands of teachers and students in the academy? Isn't this a little too much? Since you say that it's the Demon Extermination Alliance and that what you're doing is righteous, shouldn't Marquis Chu give an explanation?" This question immediately caused everyone's gazes to focus on Chu Xinyan. In fact, most people didn't believe that Long Tongue had colluded with evil demons. However, due to the Demon-Slaying Alliance's strength, they didn't dare to say anything. But at this moment, the Kirin team's desperate resistance and Su Mingyue's questioning reignited the doubts in their hearts. Chu Xinyan fiercely glared at the Qilin team, coldly saying, "The Dragon Soaring Academy has always been entangled with the unfettered seven demons. Now, they have directly pledged their allegiance to Jun Mayan. Becoming this female devil's lackey is the best proof. What's wrong with me killing them?" This was clearly inverting black and white, a thief crying thief. If it wasn't for Ding Beiho's army slaughtering Long Tongue first, how could they have been saved by Jun Mayan? How could they? The members of Soaring Dragon and the Qilin team wanted to refute. However, a folding fan appeared out of nowhere and blocked them. Xiao Yinchuan waved his hand and said in a carefree manner, "It's up to us, the Fallen City Army, to quarrel and tear each other apart. You newbies better stay away." Xiao Yinchuan gently waved the folding fan in front of his chest and said with a smile, "So, now the problem is back to square one, right? What makes you think that Jun Mo Xie and her fellow disciples are demons?" That goes without saying. Who here doesn't know? Oh, I remember now. Xiao Yinchuan slapped the folding fan in his hand and interrupted Shui Zhaoguang's words. "Just now in the Tianguang ruins, I seem to have heard someone say that the unfettered seven were judged by the number of people. That's easy. Come on, I'll count to 3. Those who think that our most beautiful, most powerful, most perfect Jun Mo Xie is not a demon, raise your hands. Well, I'll a dash." Without waiting for Xiao Yinchuan to count 1, 2, 3, all the hands were raised. After all, there were tens of thousands of students in Dragon Soar and Star Union. Moreover, there were also the 3 mighty armies. For a moment, the people standing on the hillside watching the devil-slaying conference felt as if they could see countless hands waving in front of them. Xiao Yinchuan raised his hand and motioned everyone to put down their hands. "All right, now it's the villain's turn to express his opinion." Cultivators present, if you really have the heart to frame this godlike girl as an evil spirit, then raise your hands. Damn it, what do you mean it's the villain's turn to express his opinion? How are they supposed to raise their hands? The number of people raising their hands in the square was sparse, forming a sharp contrast with the scene of hundreds responding to a single call. For the Demon-Slaying Alliance, the awkward scene was the jubilation of Mu Yan's side, who was the one who said that we need to rely on numbers to determine whether our Jun Mo Xie is a demon or not. Come on, do you think we're scared of numbers? Ha ha, this laughter, this ridicule, was like one resounding slap after another, landing on everyone's faces. All the cultivators present had ugly expressions on their faces. Chapter 3053. Especially Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan. The gloomy, killing intent in their eyes can almost be seen. But Xiao Yinchuan is still beaming as he says, "It seems that everyone also has a conscience, knowing what is right and what is wrong. Hey, that girl holding the Mirage Stone, I'm talking about you. You're young, and you look cute. How come your ears aren't very good? Did you use the Mirage Stone to properly record the bitter comparison of the votes just now? Our great god Jun's prestige is very high. We must let everyone in the world see it. Oh, that's right. By the way, remember to show this young master's elegant and suave demeanor to the girls." Yishue's teeth creak as she clenches them. She almost smashes the Mirage Stone in her hand on Xiao Yinchuan's face. "Nonsense!" Shui Zhaoguang roars, suddenly releasing the pressure of a crossing tribulation cultivator. "Where do you think this is? that you can behave atrociously as you please. Xiao Yunchuan's complexion pales, and the blood in his body churns. However, before he can feel much pain, the tinkling of the zither rang in his ears. In a split second, his body feels like it's been injected with a gurgling warm current. Not to mention that all the negative states have been cleared. He even feels that his originally somewhat blocked meridians have become incomparably smooth. And it's not just Xiao Yunchuan who has this feeling. Everyone in the 3 legions has it. They look at Mayan with surprise and delight. At this time, Mayan's line of sight falls on Xue Xiaowang, the corners of her mouth hooking up into a smile that isn't a smile. Xue Xiaowang, if you dare to bully the weak again, don't blame me for making you lose face in public. Xue Xiaowang's complexion turns green and white, the corners of his mouth twitching. He wants to curse, he wants to ruthlessly slap this audacious woman. But he doesn't dare, because the zither that Mayan just played not only lifted the negative states on Xiao Yunchuan and the others, it also gave him a deterrent. At this moment, the spiritual energy in his dantian is still tumbling like a whirlpool, and he has a hard time suppressing the desire to vomit blood. And all this was caused by this girl's casual plucking of the zither string. Xue Xiaowang's heart is filled with indescribable fear. Jun Mayan, how strong is she now? Was it really something they could deal with now? Jun Mayan, do you think that you can cover up the crimes of you, the unfettered 7 devils, by bewitching these mobs to come to the devil-slaying assembly and cause a disturbance? Jing Tianyi had already calmed down. He didn't release his pressure like Xue Xiaowang, but he only used his spiritual condensed voice line to say a single sentence. He easily and skillfully suppressed the voices of the tens of thousands of people. After suppressing the 3 legions, Jing Tianyi turned to the other cultivators and said, "Have you forgotten the cries of the victims? You've only been slightly bewitched by these demons and monsters, and you believe they're nonsense? Are you completely led by the nose by them? If all of you are so indecisive and allow evil to do as they please, who will seek justice for these suffering people? Who will return peace to the cultivation continent?" Jing Tianyi lived up to his reputation as the cleansing Lu Pavilion's sect master. After hearing his words, the people who had been shaken by the teacher-student relationship of Soaring Dragon immediately became determined. Chapter 3054. Long Tongue was destroyed, and blood flowed like a river. It was indeed a pity, but wasn't this the same as them colluding with evil spirits? Su Shiqing and the others immediately burst into tears. "My poor daughter. Even if father has to risk his life today, he will seek justice for you. Uncle, if I'm not mistaken, the girl lying on the stretcher is Su Loi, right?" Xiao Yunchuan suddenly spoke at this time. Su Shiqing raised his head and looked at Xiao Yunchuan with his red and swollen eyes. "Yes? Do you know my daughter?" Xiao Yunchuan immediately showed a pained expression. "Oh, how did Miss Su become like this?" This Gongzi remembers that she was originally an outstanding beauty. At that time in the Woodfern's secret realm, this Gongzi was fortunate enough to travel with Miss Su for a while, and I still feel deeply honored. When Su Shiqing heard this, he immediately thought that Xiao Yunchuan was also his daughter's former pursuer, and his eyes suddenly lit up. "Xiao Gongzi, do you know who caused my daughter to become like this? It's that..." Xiao Yunchuan slapped the folding fan in his hand and lightly interrupted Su Shiqing's words. "Of course I know who caused Miss Su to become like this. Presumably, everyone who experienced the collapse of the Woodfern's secret realm knows." Su Shiqing became even more excited. "Since Xiao Gongzi knows and can't forget my daughter, how can you not avenge my daughters?" Xiao Yunchuan sighed, revealing an embarrassed expression. "But the problem is, the one who harmed Miss Su is herself. How can I avenge her? Don't tell me I should kill her with my own hands and set her free?" "You, what nonsense are you talking about?" Su Shiqing's complexion immediately changed. "I know, you want to clear your master's name, that demoness Jun Mayan's name, so you want to falsely accuse my daughter. My poor daughter has become like this now, but she's still being framed by you. Don't!" Xiao Yunchuan's tone was flustered, but the smile on his face was frivolous. I'm most afraid of people crying. It's better if it's a beautiful pear blossom in the rain. But you're an old man. Crying really makes me lose my appetite. Su Shiqing. He almost fainted from anger. Xiao Yinchuan, Uncle Su, you still don't believe me? Then I have no choice but to give you the evidence. As he spoke, he took out a large stack of paper from his bosom and shook it lightly. TSK, TSK. Fortunately, this young master has foresight. As long as I see a beautiful woman, I will let my subordinates secretly use photographic talismans to record every frown and smile of the beautiful woman. Otherwise, even if Uncle wants evidence today, this young master can't produce it. Su Luoi, who was lying on the stretcher, abruptly opened her eyes wide. Her body trembled uncontrollably as she groaned. Su Shiqing's expression also became extremely ugly. What photographic talisman? We don't have time to watch you play these tricks. However, Xiao Yinchuan didn't care about them. As he infused the talisman with his spiritual power, a series of scenes immediately appeared. From the very beginning, Su Luoi had wanted to kill them and steal their treasures. But in the end, she was robbed instead. Eventually, the outer layer of the Woodfern's secret realm collapsed. Su Luo relied on the precious Zijin bell in her hands to wantonly humiliate Mayan. Then, Mu Yin took out the mutated soul-fixing talisman and saved the lives of thousands of cultivators by herself. But the main culprit, Su Luoi, also suffered the consequences of her own actions. One by one, everything that happened in the outer layer of the Woodfern's secret realm was clearly displayed before everyone's eyes. Chapter 3055. At this moment, even those who hated Mayan the most couldn't find fault with her. Su Lui only had herself to blame, so let's not talk about it for now. The most important thing was the cultivators who were almost swallowed by the swamp and the monster. Their lives were all saved by June Mayan, even if many of them paid a huge amount of crystals. But at least they saved their lives. Moreover, they were the ones who scolded Mayan first. Letting them pay with crystals was already very benevolent. The square fell into a strange silence for a while. Chunda, who was standing behind Xiao Yinchuan, suddenly stepped forward and pointed at one of them. You just said that God June robbed you of your treasures in the Woodfern's secret territory, leaving you with nothing. But why don't you tell me who was the one who wanted to rob June Immerse in the first place? Later, when the secret territory's periphery collapsed, who was the one who begged God June for the mutated soul-locking talisman to save their lives? This person was also one of the people who had just come out from the Demon Slayer Hall to accuse Mayan. Now that Chunda was pointing at his nose and questioning him, his face flushed red. He stammered for a long time, but couldn't say a word. This kind of behavior really spoke volumes. Xiao Yinchuan sneered and looked at Su Shiqing. Now, Uncle Su, do you still want to seek justice for your daughter? What kind of righteous position do you want to stand on to seek justice for your selfish and vicious daughter? Su Shiqing was momentarily speechless. After a long while, he said, Is this the only crime Mayan has committed? Even if there was a misunderstanding regarding Luoyi's matter, did everyone else have a misunderstanding? Xiao Yinchuan unfolded his folding fan and waved it gently. He said unhurriedly, Haha, don't worry, Uncle Su. Isn't this the reason why we, the devastating Fall Army, have gathered here from thousands of miles away? Ha! He abruptly closes his folding fan, and his sharp gaze sweeps over everyone who has accused Mu Yin. I heard and saw every one of your accusations against God June in the Tingguang ruins. The Liangqin army and the Xiaoyao army might not know what's going on, and they might not be able to help. But at least half of our men from the Qingqing army have personally experienced those things with June Immerse. Didn't you want to smear June Immerse's reputation? Then today, my Qingqing army will fight with you one by one. Whether June Mayan is a god or a demon, is she our faith, or is she the heinous scoundrel that you speak of? Today, we will let everyone in the Xiozhen continent witness it with their own eyes. These words were sonorous and forceful, and it instantly pushed the atmosphere of the scene to its climax. Yashue's hand, which was holding the Mirage Stone, unconsciously trembled, and she couldn't help but glance at Jing Tianyi. However, Jing Tianyi couldn't care less about that now. He glared at Xiao Yunchuan with a murderous look in his eyes. His perfect plan, the situation that he had finally managed to turn around with great difficulty, was actually destroyed by this good-for-nothing young master time and time again. Xiao Yunchuan's cultivation base wasn't high, and his family background was ordinary. But his glib tongue had actually become the greatest obstacle to the devil-slaying meat. Damn it, he should have pinched this clown to death from the very beginning. Jing Tianyi's cold gaze shifted to the side. Two figures quietly appeared in the demon-slaying hall, and then disappeared. As soon as Xiao Yunchuan's voice fell, several people from the devastating Fall army quickly came forward, as if they had discussed it beforehand. Chapter 3056. Seeing the first girl to speak, Mayan's expression is clearly startled. Wei Zi. This little girl with low cultivation and talent can be said to be the first person Mayan met in the Xiujin continent. She was saved by Mayan in the Heavenly Fragrance House and followed her all the way from Min Lujie to Qing Yunjie. The two of them parted ways after the sex selection competition had ended. Wei Zi went to the Misty Cloud sect, while Mayan went to the Xiao Yao school. When they parted, the little girl pulled her and cried very sadly, her face full of reluctance. But as time passed, Mayan experienced many things and gradually forgot about this little girl. But at this moment, that timid and lowly girl is standing in front of her with her head held high, arguing with others for her, doing things that she's not good at for her. Ning Hai, do you still remember me? Wei Zi shows a fierce look and glares at the cowering middle-aged man, saying sternly, "Don't think that you can make irresponsible remarks and frame the young miss just because it's been a long time. What did the Ning family do back then? What did Ning Yuqing and Ning Zongzi do? Others might not know, but as the Ning family's housekeeper, don't you know?" Back then, the little girl who couldn't even speak fluently was now retelling what the Ning family had done in the past in a loud and clear voice. They captured innocent female cultivators and sold them to brothels. Those with good talent were given to high-level cultivators as cultivation furnaces, while those with poor talent were wasted in brothels for the rest of their lives, suffering all kinds of humiliation. In all of this, the Ning family is the main culprit. Countless disdainful and hateful gazes are cast on Ning Hai. It makes his whole body shrink into a ball, trembling nonstop, beads of sweat rolling down his forehead. Of course, he knows how many people in Min Lujie were harmed by the Ning family back then. When they heard that the Ning family was burned down, how many people applauded. While Wei Zi was narrating, a few veiled ladies from the beautiful city army had already stepped forward. Their cultivations were extremely low, and some of them were even mortals. However, when faced with so many high-level cultivators on the Demon Slaughter Plaza, they gritted their teeth and rolled up their sleeves, revealing the bloody slave brand of the Heavenly Fragrant Pavilion to prove Wei Zi's words. Finally, a slightly older woman said in a slightly hoarse voice, "You lofty and selfish almighty cultivators, you only see Miss June slaughtering. But why don't you see how many people she has saved and how many people she has given hope and courage to live?" The eyes of the low-grade female cultivators from the Min Lu realm widened at the woman's words, and they couldn't help but reveal mocking smiles. Of course you don't know, and you don't want to know. Because in your eyes, we trash mortals are only ants that are low to the point of being in the dust. No matter if we live or die, what does it have to do with you? You're only concerned about whether your own interests have been damaged or not. How could there be treasures to snatch? When you can't take it by force, you can beat it into a demon. Only then will it be convenient for you to gang up on it and do whatever you want, right? The cultivators on the Demon Slaughter Plaza, they felt as if their faces were being slapped again, and they didn't know how many times they had been slapped. At this moment, they were truly ashamed, angry, and embarrassed, and they wished they could find a hole to hide in. However, not only was there no hole, but it was also under the watchful eyes of everyone. Not only was it under the watchful eyes of everyone, but there were even mirage stones transmitting the scenes on the plaza to every corner of the cultivation continent. Chapter 3057. In the truest sense, he had embarrassed himself in front of the entire continent. Jing Tianyi finally could not bear it any longer as he said sternly, "Turn off the Mirage Stone and cut off the transmission between the Heaven Light ruins and the various major cities." Ever since the beautiful city army appeared, Yishuang, who was holding the Mirage Stone, felt uneasy. Upon hearing the order, it was as if she had been granted amnesty, as she immediately withdrew the energy she injected into the Mirage Stone. At this moment, the second wave of people from the beautiful city army walked out. The leader was a youth with a round face. The moment he appeared, he began to interrogate the Leaf Fire sect elder Qian Feng's soul. "Qian, do you have any shame? Do you think we did not participate in the Azure Cloud World's sect selection? Do you think we do not know how your nephew Qian Hongxiao died? He went to a female cultivator's tent in the middle of the night to do something improper. But in the end, he was bitten alive while having sex with a female cultivator, becoming a cripple who lost all his cultivation." Back then, Qian Hongxiao's disgraceful state was seen by all the cultivators who participated in the sex selection. Now, you actually want to distort the truth and call a deer a horse. Do you think we are dead? Qian Feng, you don't spout nonsense. How am I spouting nonsense? Everyone here had participated in that year's sex selection. Everyone can testify for me. Don't you think so? Yes. Back then, Elder Qian wanted his nephew to marry Miss June. After being rejected, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. He wanted his nephew to force himself on her, but in the end, he went for wool and came home shorn. He even lost his nephew. Do you really think we are blind and can't see through the shady business? Ha! Why is Elder Qian so fierce? You want to hit me? But my cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds, and now I seem to be stronger than you. If you have the ability, come and hit me, ha! Qian Feng's eyes rolled back as he fainted. Seeing Qian Feng so infuriated, the group immediately cheered as if they had won a battle. As for Mu Yin, she fell into a trance for a moment when she saw the leader, the round-faced youth. She still recognized this person, Yi Huan, the youth who kept chasing after her during the Azure Cloud World's sex selection, chattering nonstop and calling her boss. Mu Yin would still occasionally think of Wei Zi, that little girl. As for Yi Huan and the group of followers whom she had temporarily met in the sex selection, they had long been forgotten by her. But at this moment, they were all here, not only Wei Zi and Yi Huan, but also many people whose faces she couldn't even remember. One by one, they walked forward and engaged in a verbal battle with the victims that the Demon Extermination Alliance had carefully arranged. One by one, he used clear facts to distinguish and refute all the accusations against her and argued for what was right. They clearly knew how dangerous and cruel the Devil Slaughtering Conference was. She clearly knows that if she supports Jun Mayan at this time, she will be condemned by everyone. However, these people were merely strangers who she had met by chance and had received a small favor from her. However, he had thrown caution to the wind and stood in front of her, not allowing her to suffer any grievances. Mu Yin feels that the rims of her eyes are a little moist. In her previous life, she had always thought that heaven and earth were heartless, and that the world was fickle and cold. Everyone was only living for themselves. However, only after being reborn did she realize how much she had missed out on in her previous life. Not everyone would be like Gong Qinxue, repaying kindness with enmity and deliberately deceiving others. There were also people who received a drop of kindness and wanted to repay it with a gushing spring. These people might not be strong enough, not perfect enough, but they were willing to do everything they could to repay that bit of kindness. Chapter 3058. These people shouldn't be buried in the selfishness and schemes of those so-called almighty cultivators like dust and sand. They should have a wider sky, a better future. Mayan's eyes twinkle, her fingertips lightly pluck on the strings, producing a single sweet sound. An hourglass has been placed next to the Tian Mo Qin, ticking to record the passage of time. It's now 9:15. The corners of Mayan's lips gently curve up. There's no hurry, it's not the time yet. The people of the devastating city army go up one by one to talk to those victims. The atmosphere in the entire demon-slaying square is also extremely awkward. And those onlookers are also looking at Jing Tianyi, Chu Xinyan, and everyone in the demon-slaying alliance with strange gazes. That was because the words spoken by the members of the Fall City Army were simply too logical and convincing. And those victims all look flustered and incoherent. It's very obvious that there's a lot of fishy going on. It's not that they don't want to lie, but from the very beginning, Xiao Yunchuan used the irrefutable evidence of the photographic talisman to give Su Shiqing and his daughter a thunderous blow. It's also like killing the chicken to warn the monkeys, intimidating everyone. What if they continue to lie, and the other party takes out the photographic talisman? What if the devastating city army has even more powerful evidence? These people are terrified, panicking. Thus, it's clear at a glance who has a clear conscience and who has a guilty conscience. In particular, no one expected that there are actually quite a few female cultivators who escaped from Fusang City in the devastating city army. On that day, the unfettered Seven Sons bore the infamy of massacring the city. The biggest reason is that they didn't want to expose these girls, who were better off escaping from the sea of suffering in front of others. They are all too clear that if people know what happened to these female cultivators along with sympathy, there will also be disdain and ridicule. The female cultivators who escaped from Fusang City are obviously also very clear about this. So, for the next half a year, they either concealed their identities or lied to cover up, not letting others know what kind of hell they had experienced. But this time, when their benefactor is wantonly framed, they still choose to abandon their personal honor and stand up. When they told the public what Fusang City had done word by word and in tears, most of the cultivators present were stunned. When Fusang City was massacred, the news about the men abusing the women in the city was vaguely spread. However, most of the information was vague, and erroneous. How could they have imagined that there was such extreme evil in the world? More than 1,000 years, a whole 1,000 years. That man in the city, every day and every night, tormented women for fun. They treated women as goods, as spiritual pets, as slaves that could be trampled on and slaughtered at will. Could all the male cultivators in that city be called humans? They were worse than animals. The cultivators in the square were in an uproar. Someone shouted, "Good kill." This sound was like pouring a ladle of water into boiling oil, instantly causing it to boil violently. My aunt disappeared near Fusang City. Could it be that she was harmed by those beasts? These scum should all be killed. When the unfettered Seven Sons massacred the city of sin, it wasn't killing the innocent. It was simply getting rid of evil for the people. If it were me, I would want to tear them into pieces. Chapter 3059. 1 second to remember. LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. So, what did the Xiao Yao Seven Sons do in the end? That they must be beaten into demons. Great God, June killed people, but she clearly killed people who deserved to be killed. How could she be a demon? Xiao Yunchuan listens to the discussions around him, looking at the puzzled expressions on everyone's faces. His tense nerves finally relax. There's a heartfelt smile on his face. That's great. Everyone finally knows how good of a person Jun Mayan is, even if doing so won't have a big impact on the overall situation. Because he was born in Ziyunjie, he knows all too well. Does the so-called demon-slaying alliance really want to slay demons and uphold justice? Obviously not. They want to kill Jun Mayan. They want to kill the Xiao Yao Seven Sons, and it's never for the benefit of good and evil. It's because Jun Mayan has the treasure that they yearn for even in their dreams. An ordinary man is innocent, but a treasure becomes a crime. They were just greedy and wanted to snatch it away because of the benefits involved. Therefore, even if the Xiao Yao Seven Sons prove their innocence, the outcome of this demon-slaying assembly will not change. Even he, Xiao Yunchuan, and the entire Xiao family will become the target of public criticism. But he, Xiao Yunchuan, has always been like this, hasn't he? All the beauties in the world are delicate flowers that need to be protected, not to mention a peerless beauty like Mei Yin. in order to protect such a beauty. Even if he is consigned to eternal damnation, he will gladly endure it. Almost as soon as this thought flashes through his mind, two powerful energy fluctuations come flying from both sides, one from the left and one from the right. Xiao Yunchuan feels as if his body is caught between an iceberg and a sea of fire. The pain is torturous, and he can't move. He immediately knows that he guessed right. The one who led this reversal of public opinion, washing away the name of the Xiao Yao Seven Sons as demons, has become a thorn in the eyes of these so-called upright sections. They won't allow him to live. Xiao Yunchuan is aware of this, but there's not much fear in his heart. He just has some regrets. With great difficulty, he found an idol that he can support and follow. With great difficulty, he has a group of like-minded companions. He wants to enjoy for a while more clang. Suddenly, he hears a stirring sound of a zither. Immediately after, the cold and scorching heat on his body disappear without a trace, just like dust being washed away by water. Two screams rang out one after the other. Then, two figures fell from the sky and landed on the ground with a thud. Their bodies twitched for a moment, and then they stopped moving. Mayan presses her hand on the Tian Amo-Chin and sneers. Unable to reason with them, they want to carry out an assassination. The demon-slaying alliance is really benevolent and moral. The whole place was dead silent. Some of them had yet to react to this sudden turn of events. However, there were also people who were horrified when they saw the corpse on the ground. That was because they were two leaving Aperture Realm high-tier cultivators. Also, they were Shouja who wore the uniform of the uniform sect and were most skilled in hiding and assassination. And just now, everyone saw it. The two of them wanted to silently kill Xiao Yunchuan to serve as a warning to the rest of the Qing army. However, Jun Mayan only plucks the strings twice. Just like that, he was able to kill two high-tier leaving Aperture Realm assassins. What kind of powerful divine sense was this? What kind of terrifying strength was that? Jing Tianyi's complexion can no longer be described as unsightly. The hands hanging by his side are tightly clenched to suppress the malevolence and distortion of his face. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit ZaiNet. Chapter 3060. 1 second to remember Love Net, providing you with wonderful reading. Destroyed. Completely destroyed. When the truth of Mayan being Yu Liangchen was revealed in Divine Elephant City, he still disapproved of the so-called Liangchen Great Army and devastatingly Great Army. That kind of motley crew could just join in the fun and shout slogans. If they were to fight openly, what could they do? Even if there were thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people, their cultivation levels were different, and there was no tacit understanding between them. As soon as the battle started, this group of people would quickly collapse like a plate of loose sand, unable to withstand a single blow. Their threat was not even comparable to that of the group of immature students from Longtung. But how could Jing Tianyi have thought of this? Devastatingly Great Army and Liangchen Great Army could not fight, but they had thousands of mouths, rich experience in quarreling, and a large amount of evidence in their hands that could make him speechless. His meticulous planning, his step-by-step calculation, and the gimmick of killing the unfettered 7 demons that he had stirred up with great difficulty was actually so easily destroyed by this group of motley crew. Even the 2 top assassins of the Purple Cloud realm that he had sent to kill Xiao Yunchuan in order to make an example of this group of people who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth were easily destroyed by Mayan in the end. His face and reputation had been completely thrown away in an instant. What demon-slaying alliance? What righteous master? At this moment, they had all become a laughing stock. 2019-09-26 The clans that had been forced to join the demon-slaying alliance by moral coercion felt exalted and unspeakably carefree. Su Mingyue looked at the ashen-faced Jing Tianyi and Chu Xingyan, then looked at the Mirage Stone that had long been shut down. He couldn't help but sneer. Alliance Master Jing must have spent a lot to set up these 108 teleportation arrays and broadcast all the images to the major cities through Tianguang ruins, right? It would be such a waste to not broadcast it. Alliance Master Jing wanted to broadcast it, but it was really too shameful. If it continued, the demon-slaying alliance would have no place to put its face. Lan Etienne suddenly stood up and sneered. I already said that my Lan royal family has no interest in bullying the younger generation. Now that this farce has been seen enough, we can go. My Duan clan is also leaving. Wenbin, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and follow me back. Dragon Tiger's sect won't get involved either. He watched as the various sect leaders and family heads stood up and prepared to leave. The remaining people who had already chosen to join the Demon Extermination Alliance felt like they were being roasted on a fire, unable to come down. However, at this moment, suddenly, a creepy laughter rang out in front of the Demon Slayer Palace. Who said you can leave? Chu Xinyan leisurely walked out of the demon-slaying hall. As he took off his gloves, he used a sinister and greedy gaze to stare at the white-clothed girl in front of the chaotic tower. As soon as the gloves disappeared, his wrinkled hands that looked like old tree bark were revealed. Such a pair of hands formed a sharp contrast with his youthful and smooth face. In addition to that pair of eagle-like eyes that did not conceal the malice, it made him and the others exude a somewhat sinister and terrifying aura. Lan Etienne and the others who were about to leave stopped in their tracks. Even Jing Tianyi looked at him in surprise. Marquis Chuyu, shut up, trash. Chu Xinyan leisurely interrupted Jing Tianyi's words. The word trash caused Jing Tianyi's face to turn green and pale. Chu Xinyan, what do you mean by this? Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3061. 1 second remember love net, providing you with wonderful reading. Chu Xinyan sneered. This hoe originally wanted to give an idiot like you a chance, to let you and Jun Mayan fight to the death first, and then this hoe would reap the benefits of the fisherman. I didn't expect a trash like you to be so useless. A few trashy ants. With just a few words, you didn't even have the strength to fight back. Since you're useless, then get away from me and obediently listen to my orders. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Chu Xinyan. Jing Tianyi roared in disbelief. I am the Alliance Master. Chu Xinyan didn't even bat an eyelid. I admit that you are the Alliance Master. I don't admit that you are nothing. What do you say? When he asked the last sentence, Chu Xinyan's eyes swept over the people sitting in the square. He saw Miao Yu, Xiao Zun, Su Qingquan, and Shui Xiaowang all walk to Chu Xinyan's side, bowing to him. What made Jing Tianyi even more aghast was that among these cultivators, there was also Hong Lan and Pei Yi, the patriarch of the Horton tribe. In the blink of an eye, he, the mighty Alliance Master, became a commander without an army. Yi Yun screamed in disbelief. Sanus, you? How could you? Hong Lan smiled faintly. Didn't you remind me? My only goal now is to kill Mayan. And obviously, baiting Marquis can achieve my goal. Chu Xinyan laughed. His attitude towards Hong Lan was still very good. Sanus has good eyes. Don't worry, you will not regret your choice. Jing Tianyi gritted his teeth as he watched this scene. After a long time, he said, Good baiting Marquis. Good Sanus of Mu Leg. This old man would like to see what means you have to swallow Jun Mayan and the Xiao Yao school. Lan Etienne saw the two suddenly fighting and sneered disdainfully. He turned around and was about to leave on his flying sword. However, Chu Xinyan's next words made him suddenly turn back. King Lan, I can give you a piece of advice. Today, as long as the people of the Lan royal family take one step out of 100 Disaster City, they will all die a horrible death. Lan Etienne said with a gloomy face. Chu Xinyan, are you trying to scare us? Ha ha ha. Whether it's an alarmist or not, won't you know once you try? Just as he finished speaking, Chu Xinyan had already struck out with his palm. He did not use any killing moves in this palm, but it contained a huge pushing force. One of Lan Etienne's guards was pushed a few hundred feet away. When he landed, he was already outside the range of 100 Disaster City in the Sumeru Ring. This guard's cultivation was not low. After falling from the sky, he rolled and stabilized his body. He lowered his head and examined himself. He didn't find anything wrong with him, and his expression was a little blank. Seeing that he was unharmed, Lon Etienne heaved a sigh of relief. "Come back." "Yes, your majesty." Upon hearing this, the guard immediately leaped forward. However, an unforeseen event happened at this moment. The guard, who had just taken a step forward, suddenly stiffened and his eyes widened. In those widened eyes, it was as if he had seen the most terrifying scene in the world. Then, people watched helplessly as the skin all over his body rapidly aged and dried up. As if the water in his body had been drained in an instant, he fell straight down. What the hell happened? Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.